Welcome to Dynamo's Dozen, the podcast that I bring you each and every single week, where I talk about whatever may be on my mind, from pro wrestling, sports, entertainment, music, movies, muesli, fresh socks and jocks, and everything in between, never forgetting that sweet white talc. I am your host, Ian the Dynamo Kelly, and today I've got a really cool guest, a fellow Irish brethren from Dublin City, weighing in at 16 stone, standing 6 foot 2 inches tall, Mr. Gar Cummins. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. It's good to have you on here. This is something a little bit different, which is really cool. You're a man of many talents and many stories, and some might say that you might be a little bit of an entrepreneur, but I'll leave that up for you to decide.
Do a little bit.
You do a little bit. So I suppose knowing where to start with yourself to describe you, you've obviously been in some pretty popular bands over here. One in particular, 20 Bulls each. You also run the Thomas House, which is a really cool and popular bar here in Dublin, Ireland, before obviously the lockdown, but one of my personal favorite bars to go to.
That's my retirement job now, yeah.
Running a retirement job,
yeah.
And you're like me, you're an avid collector of stuff, as people can see in the background.
Junk everywhere.
We some people call it junk, but to us, it's life, you know.
And, half of it's junk and half of it's treasure, yeah.
Half it's treasure, exactly. One man's junk, another man's treasure, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, you're into the old comic books and stuff like that, like myself.
Yeah,
And you also have been dabbled in the world of professional wrestling as well.
I have, yeah.
Really cool. So, I mean, you are the star of the show today. So I'm more than happy for you to kind of see where you want to start off. Would you want to start off with wrestling, because we're going back to, I suppose,
if we go back,
your younger days?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, obviously, wrestling. When I was a kid, like I just turned 40, so wrestling to me back in the day was old school WWF.
Oh yeah.
Saturday morning WWF, Sunday morning WWF. Pay-per-views weren't really a thing.
No.
You'd see bits of them on telly. Sometimes they cut them up on Sky One or something like that, and you get to see bits of it. But if you wanted to watch a pay-per-view, you had to either go into somewhere like HMV and buy one of them £40 cassettes, then VHS tapes to watch a Royal Rumble or something.
Or watch the Scramble channel. Do you remember that?
Exactly. The odd time they'd be broadcast like that on Sky Sports, or there was like I think Satanta used to do the odd one. They had this weird license where half of them went to Sky and half of them went to other channels.
Channel 4, Channel 4 used to take ad breaks in between them, and you were like, what the
That's right. Is exactly. And then as time went on, they had like the satellite channels like Bravo and stuff would have bits of WCW and ECW, and later on then who else was there? There was another channel that used to do WCW, kind of these weird super cuts.
ITV used to show it on a Saturday afternoon, I believe.
Yeah. So that was what I done as a young, was watch wrestling and read comic books and just be obsessed about Star Wars and that type of junk, you know. Like everyone else, you know, until you like that pretty much continued until you got your first blowjob. Then it's all out the window, you know what I mean? You don't care about any of that. There's about 6 years where that's nothing else matters except running around, you know. And then you're able to have points.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, hang on, blowjobs and points, or wrestling and comic, out in the bin with them, like open to the attic.
Later.
Exactly. And then you have some sort of weird midlife crisis where all the stuff you remember, you're like, oh, I was mad into 2000 AD. I wonder what that's like now when you run out and you buy 2000 AD and you're like, this crap compared to when I was a young fella. Like, because everything's crap now.
Everything's shit now compared to when we were young, yeah.
Exactly, right? But it's probably not, but in my head it is. Yeah. Like, they changed Judge Dredd's gun. This is bollocks. Like, all that type of stuff keeps happening to me. But the wrestling was always a constant thing, and I was mad into wrestling. I collected VHS, and then when DVDs came out, I was buying all the DVDs, and still to this day, I think in my ma's shed there must be hundreds upon hundreds of old WCW pay-per-views that I bought, or like upstairs in HMV on Henry Street for like £30.
Power Slam, remember Power Slam? You had to send over the subscription. The old
I wrote an article for Power Slam. I think I wrote two. Yeah, I think I wrote 2 articles for Power Slam, and me and a fella called Jamie Coleman, me and him were involved in Irish with wrestling, and that got started. Yeah, we started a zine as well. I wrote a bleeding, must have been a 30-page expose on Bret Hart once, and we printed them all up. We sold them. We had them sold, and
Brilliant.
I think Eason's were selling them. We were mail ordering them all over the world. That's
Shout
when I
out
was
to
living
Jamie
with
Coleman, by the way.
Jamie. Yeah, I was talking to him today as well. I was trying to remember some names in case they came up.
I like that.
But
yeah.
And so I read an article on. It wasn't even an article. It was a post. It might have even been on like boards.ie or someone's message board, and it was Simon Rochford, who was the guy behind Irish Whip Wrestling, and he was looking for people.
Well, I worked for him for about a year.
Mm.
It didn't end well, but we've recently been in contact over the last couple of years. He's
good.
He's a nice.
I haven't talked to Simon in forever, like, you know. Yeah. I lived with Simon and his missus at the time. I lived with them for ages in Drumcondra. Yeah. Well, I read some posts. I think it was a post he put up, a message board or an ad in a paper. I can't remember. It's like 20 years ago now. Looking for someone who had promotion experience and was interested in pro wrestling. And I'd been in a band since like 13, and I've been putting on gigs my whole life. And so I was like, okay, Michelle. So we got talking. We ended up meeting. We ended up talking about wrestling, and he was a big tape trader, and he had access to so much gear that I'd never seen before. All like New Japan classics and like all mad stuff that I'd never seen before. You know.
Yeah.
Lucha stuff and German stuff, Italian stuff. I didn't even know they had wrestling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he said, listen, exactly. So he said, look, I want to start a promotion. I've got this other fella, Jamie Coleman, and he's got a head for promo as well. Like, why don't we sit down and figure it out? Now, it was Simon's gig. You know what I mean? It was Simon's baby. He funded it.
I bet he let you know that as well.
Well, like I said, because I think even before the show started, I was living with Simon.
Yeah.
I moved in. He had a spare room in his house, and it was only about 20 minutes, not even 15 minutes away from where I was living at the time. So I moved in, took the freezing cold damp room, and it was fucking freezing, man. It was freezing in that cafe. My allowed course, I mean, because it's going to come out.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, right. So it was fucking freezing in this room all the time. And I always remember just being in the bed, shivering my bollocks off, and then looking for excuses to go into the living room where the heating was on, you know? Because I don't think the radiator was working or something. But all we did was talk about wrestling day and night. We had this missus driven fucking demented, you know? And trying to work out, like, on where we're going to get a ring from. At that time, there's no rings in the country, you know? And we were going out to like the Yorick Williams shows, the fake Undertaker shows, and all this kind of shit.
These fucking spectacles.
In the National Stadium and stuff like that. Going out there and like handing out flyers. I don't think we even had a date in mind. It was like Irish Whip Wrestling coming soon, but we had to be on the sly about it because Yorick used to have the wrestlers come out and like throw digs at cunts who were trying to promote their shows, you know, off his back. So we'd be handing out these jokes, and eventually, I think he put the National Basketball Arena in Tallaght or something like that. Like I said, my brain is mush.
That's right. No, you're right. I remember that, yeah.
And I think there was a day show and an evening show. It was like a matinee show and an evening show.
Raven was on it, right? He was one of the...
No, that first one was Tatanka.
Okay.
I think the first one was Tatanka with Zandig and Justice Payne from CZW. And like Chris the Bambi Killer, and I can't even remember. There was a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And I remember we ran the show. We had to go out and collect all these lads from airports and everything. I think I just got a car. It was my first year of having a motor, and so I was just doing runs back and forth to the airport. Yeah. And then I had to go out. I had to drive out to the ferry to meet these lads that had the ring, and we get the ring in and set up, and the ropes were gammy on it, man. They were like velvet ropes, like there was no spring in them. Yeah. So we set the ring up, and I remember the wrestlers coming in, looking at it, and going like because it was small, you know, it was battered. I think it was only like a 16-footer ring, and they were looking at it, going, "Jeez," and they were kind of leaning in and, you know, run the ropes. And I was like, "Man, we can't really run the ropes too much in this because it looked like it was going to go at any minute."
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So we get in, we get set up, and I was like, "What am I going to be doing?" I was like, "I'd be the bell ringer. I'd be the bell boy here." Like, you know what I mean? So I put my best suit on, and I think
Penny's finest, right?
I think it was my granddad's funeral suit job. Still have it, state of it. Yeah. Like, you know, purple lining in the black and all. Oh, it was grim. It was grim. It was like purple short and a black tie. Oh, the state of it. And I remember I was sitting there with the bell. And we were lucky because the lads with the ring, brought a bell because we were like, no bleeding bell, lads, what are we gonna do? And it was like, we have a bell in the van somewhere. Brought it out, gave us the bell, and anyway, and I think I was hitting it with a bottle or something because he didn't have a hammer or a fork or something. And I remember just standing there, and I was like, I don't know how to do the bell, but like I watched enough wrestling to figure it out. You know what I mean? I was like, ding ding, a start, and ding 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 is when there's trouble. You know, 3 dings, it's over. Whatever. I was trying to remember all this malarkey. And it was a full, they were full shows, both of them were full. But I think the second one, we had given Zandig a whorl wrapped in barbed wire as one of his weapons. Because I spent about 2 weeks gimmicking weapons. Like I had an ice hockey stick from when I used to play hockey with the lads. And nice. we took an angle grind out and we took a notch out of it so we could batter it over his head, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get the chairs. There was no such thing as them tables or them chairs that you see.
Oh, I know. Yeah, those little white. We had a few of them in Wolftown and Braid. The little white kind of barbecue
fold out. Couldn't get them here. They were impossible to get until like B&Q or something opened, which is a while later. So me and me dad, exactly, yeah. So me and me dad start making like tables. You know what I mean? We were going out and buying like 1/2-inch ply and like putting crap legs underneath them. And like making it look like they'd fold out and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
And so the show went all right. I remember at the end of the last show, we Zandig hit Justice Payne with the barbed wire horn. And he opened them up, man. He opened them up, and the thing was covered in gore. It was destroyed with gore. And we were escorting him out because he was in bits. I think it was like one of the maybe the second headline or something like that. And that might have even been the second show. They're all mixed up together. Yeah, and he was walking out the ring, and I think he held the whorl up, or maybe I held the whorl up. And I remember holding up, and everybody's going bleeding mad, and it was like giving it like that, and a load of bleeding blood ran off into my mouth.
Oh, lovely!
Like, what's that? And there was blood dripping out of this hole straight into my mouth, and the whole thing was recorded. Me and Jamie actually ended up doing commentary on the DVD. We recorded it in the gaff me and Simon lived in the attic, which was his tape room. And we had a little 4-track tape recorder. And we just put the tape in, the recording of the events. I'm going to cut them all up and pick the best matches from the 2 shows to make one kind of pay-per-view, if you will. And we done the commentary over it. That got released. I don't have a copy of that. I'd love to get a copy of that. I was looking on YouTube.
That was 2001, right? Around 2001?
Oh, 2002, yeah.
Yeah, yous were just before us, Hammerlock opened. And,
that's right, yeah.
I remember yous were the bastard and enemy at the time.
But it was like that. It was like that for us as well because, like, I think I was happy enough just to see stuff happening because I was mad into it.
Sure, exactly.
And that's eating it all. And I know that we were like when Hammerlock opened, we were like the bleeding brutes opening bleeding school over here, and then and then it was like you know, Fergal and Paul opening, and they kind of half-known quantities at least, kind of for European wrestling.
Yeah,
I remember
that.
Yeah. I remember when the school opened, me and Simon drove out. We drove out. And we parked across the road to look at everybody. We sat there for about 3 hours.
Fergal came over to us. This is actually a true story. Fergal came over to us and goes, "Lads, be on your fucking toes here today because we believe that we're being spied on."
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah,
that
was me. Yeah,
isn't it? It's come full circle now.
That was me and Simon. We used to drive out and we'd sit in the car across the road looking to see if we knew anybody going in. No, because we wanted to open the skill, but we didn't know anybody.
Yeah, we get you.
Could train. You know what I mean? That's we ended up with Lee. Now I was gone before the skill opened. Like I was there for 2 or 3 events, 2 definitely in Dublin, and there was a couple up north. There was a couple up north that mad shit happened that I could never tell on the podcast. I'll tell you off the podcast.
Yeah.
Mad shit happened. But I still tell that story. I'll tell that story about that show up north till the day I die. But it was some crack.
You'll have to give me that one after the show, yeah, for sure.
Some crack. But so done that for ages, and then Simon moved out of Dublin. He moved out of Dublin with his missus at the time, I think, to the Midlands somewhere. And I think he knocked it on the head for a while before he kind of brought it back. But I was gone at that stage. I think I was doing all right with the band, and I was working in the Mater Hospital. And I was doing all right with the band because the Mater Hospital would give me all the time I wanted off. Like I could take 2 months unpaid leave and fuck off to the States and do a tour in the States or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
So that was my life for Jesus, at least 15 years anyway. Was just doing the band stuff until 4 years ago, and we knocked it on the head. And we're supposed to do a reunion last year. We're supposed to do 20 bulls each. The Bleeding, it was booked. All the lads, where they were living, were flying back in. We were doing rehearsals and all. And then the Bleeding virus hits, and that's the end of it, you know.
Of course, yeah. And you had said to me earlier in the day as well that you had a good Hammerlock story. Was that the one?
That's the one.
That's the one. I like that.
Creeping up. Literally, we had an notepad and all, and I think we were trying to recognize, because we used to get emails and phone calls from like every shade of weirdo imaginable. That was
I can only imagine. Yeah.
And it used to be, there's one fella in particular, I can't remember his name. I wish I remembered his name. And I think he lived in the south somewhere. And he used to be just sending emails and DMs and mad shit, talking about wrestling all the time. We were absolutely convinced that this fella was like trying to stalk us. Do you know what I mean? Because he was like, I heard through such and such and such and such and such and such that you're trying to get Jake Roberts for our next show. And we we're like, we are getting Jake Roberts for our next show. Where's this prick hearing this? Like, you know? But we were always convinced that this fella was like some little weasel, either on the internet in real life, creeping around, watching everybody with a notepad, you know. So we were sitting outside the Hammerlock. I always remember looking at it, sitting outside where the gym or Hammerlock was held or wherever, and writing it, say we knew anybody's Bleed names and car edges and everything to see if we could find out who the people were, because there was tentative plans for the school, and we were always looking for the place to have a school, and we were going to buy. I think the plan was to buy a ring off. What was that Bleeding website that everybody bought everything wrestling?
High Spots.
High Spots. But our man was out as a pedo or something, wasn't he? He was doing great business for years, and then your man was doing something weird. The original fella that owned it. But he saw rings, and the price wasn't astronomical. It was all right. The problem was the shipping.
They used to go between like anywhere from 3 to 10 grand, depending on the quality of the ring you wanted. But what exactly. I actually have the way we did it was because the two boys, Fergal and Paul, had been over in Hammerlock in the UK. We basically had the structure written down, so we knew exactly what we needed to buy. And the build actually in Bray, he worked up. He was the foreman up in Chadwick's. And, so I remember it was actually myself. This is a true story. It was myself, Paul, and Fergal, and we went to Heaton Buckley's, which was down at the bottom part of Bray, not too far from where you were stalking us, actually. And then we got some of the gear there, and then went up and got boards in the Daz house as well. And I remember the first day we walked in, and we had our own proper ring. Yeah, that ring is still going somewhere. I think Paul Tracy still owns it. It's still used.
Yeah, because we looked at it as well. As we bought like a blueprint off someone. I don't remember who.
Yeah. Exactly.
Blueprint off, and we were looking. My dad does a lot of engineering malarkey as well, so we were looking at having my outlet build it. Yeah, but builds trailers and all. And I showed him. He goes, "Just a trailer." I was like, "It is pretty much just a trailer." That actually,
pretty much, yeah, with a spring underneath.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, "We bang one of them together for you in a day." I was like, "All right, if I get the blueprints, will you do it?" And I remember handing it to him. He goes, "Where the fuck am I meant to build that?" I was like, "Well, wait, we don't have anywhere to put it yet, so I'll have to build it so it comes apart." And he goes, "I never said that. I thought you were going to build it and leave it there.
Just leave it in the back garden."
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that happened like because I used to run a little screen printing company as well. So I had like all these screen print machines, like big giant ones, like 16, 17 foot across, and I had them stashed in. Jesus, one of my man dad's shed, there was one of my sister's sheds. I had one taken apart because I had a record shop in town for a while. There was one in the basement of the record shop in town.
What was that one?
I used to run a record shop called Horror Business. I had it for 2 years in Temple Bar.
I know it, yeah.
I just done like metal and punk and hardcore and all that type of malarkeys, CDs, records, t-shirts. Just the back of the Foggy Jail on Crow Street.
Yeah, I remember it, yeah.
Year and a half, 2 years. That was me, yeah. And we had a basement. Because I originally started off in the basement. The ground floor used to be a comic shop. And got turned into a clothes shop. And I opened up the record shop downstairs, and then eventually we just kind of merged the two, and then we started doing the screen printing.
I think it was Cut and Sew then for a while, wasn't it? That was Cut and Sew.
Yeah. After us,
we
got turfed out with a landlord. He just wanted to wash his hands of everything because Temple Bar was turned into a mess. There was like the Temple Bar Association, all they were charging mad money just to put out like A boards outside, and he was like, "I'm not having any of it."
Welcome to Dublin, ladies and gentlemen, for all of our American listeners here.
Yeah, exactly. So we got turfed out, and that's when I kind of went free. I kind of went freelance for a while. Then I was DJing because I've been DJing since I was about 17, 18, on and off. And I started doing that kind of a little bit more seriously. And then me and my mate Kev start running events in Whelan's and the Village and the Mercantile and Thomas House and Jesus Shinay and wherever Fibbers, wherever ran events everywhere.
Wasn't it?
Recession Club was one of the first ones. Yeah, that was
like,
mad.
That was a pretty big fucking deal. You were a big time DJ for a long time. Like, I mean, this is why I said you were an entrepreneur at the start of the show, because you really do the hustle.
Doing everything, man. That was the problem. That's I'm broke. You know what I mean? None of us stuck. None of us stuck. Yeah, none of us stuck. Loads of deadly stories and no money. But yeah, we used to do Recession Club. Recession Club started. Kev started Recession Club. He done one without me, and then I came on board. And then bit by bit, it started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then eventually moved into the Mercantile. And the Mercantile had one big venue.
Very fancy, yeah.
Yeah. We helped design the venue end of it and all, because before they opened that, we were working for Whelan's. We actually had an office up at the back of Whelan's. So that's where we spent our days, just up there kind of on the phone, ringing bands and DJs and other promoters and bookers, trying to get people over.
Hustling, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Walking around eating cake all day, getting real fat, like. And
and drinking beer.
That's it, drinking pints, man. DJing fucking every night in different places, that type of thing. So Recession Club had started off in Shabeen on Georgia Street, tiny little room downstairs, held like 50 people, and we ran down there for a while. It was bleeding mental, and then I went to two or three other places. The first one I think was in Cassidy's on Westmoreland Street, before it's the fancy Cassidy's now. It was just an outfit pub. And that was the one I wasn't involved in. The rest of them then I was involved in from that point on. And we moved to the Mercantile. The Mercantile was huge. I think if you had all of the Mercantile open, like each part of it, it was like 2,000, 2,500 people, because it goes up 3 or 4 floors. Yeah. And like we basically, when we start doing Recession Club, they just go over to the sound system, click, 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 and turn it on to every floor, every speaker in that entire building, which is about a quarter of Dame Street, was just Recession Club. So there was thousands of people there every month, and it was savage. It was unreal. But it got old. Do you know what I mean? Because we weren't aiming at kids. We're aiming at the whole idea was to try and like unite the tribes. We get a night where, you know, the punks and the metalers and the rockabillys and the goths, and we get them all in, because they all like guitar music, they all like alternative music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And let's just get them all together, because there was other people running goth nights and there'd be 20 people there, you know, or running a rockabilly night, there'd be 10 people there. We were like, wouldn't we do a night, we'd do all that type of music, and we'd get a couple of 100 people, and then just by having a couple of 100 people there, because you know as well as me, nothing gets people in like people. So if somebody says people, I go, what the fuck's going on in there? Like, this place is empty, but that place is shite then. That place is open. Let's go in there.
People are nosy, exactly. They want to see what the fuck is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. So we done that for a while. Then we ended up in the Grand Social, and we finished up the Grand Social. After we finished up at Whelan's, and then we'd been running gigs and DJing in Thomas House. That was our like home. That was our home. We just drank there, and we DJ there. At least one of us would be there at least once a week. And the fella who had the lease in the place got turfed out by the landlord for not paying the rent. And he's a scumbag. He's a known scumbag in Dublin for not paying rent and sacking people and everything. So I didn't feel bad about it. I felt bad about the staff, because some of them are my best mates.
Exactly.
And strangely enough, I got a call one day, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, off the bloke who managed the place, an Australian guy. And he's like, you need to go up here now, get your PA out and your decks out and all your gear that's here, because the sheriff's at the door and there's a lot of guards here, and they're shutting the place down, like, because your man hasn't paid rates, he hasn't paid rent, he hasn't paid insurance, he hasn't paid anything, and we're all sacked. But we need to get your gear out. So we burned down in my van, and there's 2 doors into Tom's house, 2 main doors on the ground floor. They kept them busy on one door while they snuck me in the other door. I got all my gear up to the front door, and then I went over, knocked on the door, called over one of the guards, said, listen, I've nothing to do with this place, but I have equipment here that is mine, my own personal equipment, nothing to do with the venue, the pub, the owner, nothing like that. Can I take it out? And he said, yeah, no worries. So he cleared away, loaded up my van. While I was loading up my van, I met this fella. He was just standing around the corner, and he said, like, you working there? I said, well, I ran events in there, you know, DJing and running gigs and stuff like that. And he goes, like, do you want to keep your job? And I was like, what do you mean? He says, I'm after taking the place. And I was like, all right, yeah, any of the staff staying on? He said, they want to. So I was like, holy shit. So we got on the blower. I said, listen, your man's going to keep whoever wants to stay on, like, you keep it.
Yeah.
And it turns out, anyway, your man was a scumbag. dirtbag, and I think we lasted about 6-7 months under him, working for him before we walked out. He wasn't paying anyone. Apparently he had some contact in the bank, and he was one of these guys, like the RAP guy. If there's a business going out, they bring him in just to make as much money as possible before they can flog it on.
Yeah,
and he eventually gets turfed out after we leave, and somewhere along the lines, this is mad weird, I get a phone call off, I think, the bank who are put in charge of the premises, saying, like, we have your number for the Thomas House, and we're trying to figure out, we're thinking about leasing it. So I said, for real? I've never even pulled the point. I've never been behind the bar. I was a lounge boy for one night once in the Sunnybank Hotel on Botanic Road, and I hated it.
Do you know what I mean? The place, yeah.
Yeah.
Not far from me, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't know anything about pulling points. Like, I know how to get people in the pub, but I don't know how to look after them when they're in there, you know?
Yeah.
And so I turned to Kev, who was my business partner, and everything I was doing. So we have to do it. And we just went and we met them. We figured it out. Met the new landlord or whatever, and hammered out a deal. And that's this June or just July, it'll be 10 years. It was 10 years ago.
Well, what we'll do is we'll take a break before we that's a nice little segue. We'll take a break before we get into the Thomas House and obviously the band stuff as well, because it's a really interesting story as well, and that's super cool as well. Just hearing like how that all came about through I suppose through snakes.
Through wrestling.
Snakes always get found out, and obviously you were dealing with some weasels there. And it landed on your doorstep in a lot of ways, and we come full circle. So we'll take a little break, and we come back. We will continue talking about this story about the Thomas House, which I really like. And welcome back to Dynamo's Dozen. I am here with Mr. Gar Cummins, and he was just telling the story before the break there, which won't be much of a break between segments here. When you're looking at it on YouTube, you'll be like, was that a break? It's just a continuous flow.
What did they do?
What did they do in that second? So you were talking there about how you ended up kind of getting into a position of kind of being leasing, basically, running the Thomas House. And
yeah, me and Kev, yeah. So we were, all the time this was happening, I was doing the band thing as well. So 20 Bulls started, wasn't my first band, it was the first band I actually decided that this is what I wanted to do with my life, you know. And that started around, I think it was around 2000, I think we started 20 Bulls. And we done the same thing every other Irish band done. It's just, you know, you get half an hour set together with 2 or 3 covers, and the usual shite when you're starting. Write a couple of songs.
Always the format, isn't it?
Yeah. And you write a couple of songs, and you know, probably garbage. One of them's probably alright. You might whatever, but you just want to get a half hour set together. So we played a couple of gigs, and then got offered a few more gigs, and then all of a sudden we're in the kind of standard Irish band, Irish kind of heavy band position of being offered gigs every weekend, because there's some new bleed 16-year-olds starting to promote, you know, Dead Shot Promotions.
I love it. I love what you're saying right now.
Yeah, you know, and so you get offered it, and you're like, all right, yeah, we'll do it, and then you play it, and it's shy, and then he says, no, that's because Crowbar were playing in Whelan's, and you're like, oh, it wasn't, yeah, all right. So he goes, well, we're doing another one in 2 weeks. Do you want to do that? And at this stage, I locked it, like, oh, gigs are unreal. But as time goes on, you start going like, oh, I fucking hate this, man. This is shite. Like dragging all this gear up bleeding stairs and dragging it downstairs and then getting rid of it for nothing. Like, for grief, caution money to do it, you know. And if you wanted to have points to get a taxi, and that was poxy. And it was hard to get taxis back then as well, especially getting like a van that'd get all the gear back to your rehearsal room or wherever. It was painful. Yeah. So we said, right, we're not going to do gigs unless they're good. Like what we consider to be good, and that's like sometimes you get the scent in the camp. Then one fella's like, you just have to play to get good. So you don't have to play to get good. You have to rehearse to get good, and you have to just not be locked. Yeah, just have to be not locked on stage. Like that's like you start understanding the dynamics. Like, can you get in, knock it out of the park, and fuck off? Can you do that? And every tour that fought one's like, we're going on the bleeding Beano.
The front man can be locked though, and just throwing that out there because we're both.
Well, that was me.
So,
that was me. Like I got to the point where I was like, I'm not playing guitar anymore. Like I write a lot of songs, and I show you how to play them, but I'm just not going to play guitar anymore.
Yeah, so I'm getting drunk. You're not.
Pretty much. Like I fucking show up with an SM58, and I'm like, here we go. That's me. And then I give the boys a dig out, like, but. You just had to, but it was that I had to get another person in there to kind of cover me on guitar because it had to be a two guitar band for what was going on. And we tried to do one guitar for a while, it just didn't work, it didn't sound right. So we brought in They just started this revolving door process of kind of basis for a while, and then we settle on one basis we like, and then he'd fuck off or have kids, and another fella come in. Our first basis, I went to wrestling skill with him in England. In Jesus, who was it? It was FWA in Portsmouth.
Oh, so you went to the Jesus Christ! You took you and me, like, it's great that we've come full circle. We literally took the complete opposite path.
Yeah,
You went to Portsmouth, I went to Kent. I like it.
So now we started off. We went down. I think we went down for like a weekender, and then we went down for like a 2 week or something like that. And we ended up having a big row with the bloke who ran the place, good called Mark Sloan. Had a massive blowout with him because he was running the wrestling school, like he was trying to do bleeding the dungeon in Portsmouth, right? So he was. I was rough, man. It was rough, and I loved it. I thought that's what I wanted to do with my life, you know. Like my dad's a bodybuilder, so I was bleeding milling weights out of it in the gym at home and doing fucking everything, you know. And went over. I think the first one was grand. It was basics. This is like nicey. Give me your money and leave, you know. Come back with a hunger on you. And then by the second one, I think the longer one, I went over with. He was the bass in the band at the time, a guy called Derek. He went on to run some. He ran like an MMA website, I think called ShareDog.com or something like that. He started that, I think, afterwards. Yeah. And I don't know where he lives. I think he's a barber or something now. But me and him went over. And we got friendly with this Norwegian bloke. Sammy, his name was, real nice fella. So there was like the three of us were little kind of click in the skill. But yeah, man, Sloan, who was running the place, was just, it was brutal, man. There was no need for it to be that brutal. Like, he wouldn't let you have a shower. You know what I mean? You'd have to sleep in the gym in a sleeping bag on the mats. He'd wake you up at 6 o'clock in the morning and he'd be straight into the ring, running the ropes. And there was no time for to piss or to have a shower or to go and get something to eat. It was just up, mill you out of it for like 14 hours a day. And then go to bed battered, piss and blood. And just after a while, we were like, mate, like, is there anywhere we can go get good food? Because we were eating like bleeding Chinese takeout every night. And I don't eat meat, so, and there was nothing to eat. It was like fried rice. So all I was living on fried rice, like. And so is there anywhere we can get good food? And he goes, what's wrong with our food? I said, I don't eat meat, man. I haven't eaten meat since like 16. I can't eat all these bleeding corned beef sandwiches you cunts are eating. Like, is there anywhere like a Tesco or something? He's like, no, you have to eat out that Chinese. We have to deal with them, you know. So it's like, I can't eat any more fried rice. I'll fucking die. Like, I'll actually die.
Yeah.
And I was like, can we have a shower now? And we were stinking, man. We were rubbed raw. We just wanted to have a fucking shower.
I know, because it's a smelly fucking environment.
Oh, that's rough, man. You know, no air. It was roasting. It was rough as fuck. Portsmouth at the time was rough as fuck. And I think after a week or so of it, we just staged bleeding insurrection, like, stick it up your fucking hole. And we walked out. And we stayed in a bed and breakfast. First night we couldn't find anywhere to stay. We slept in the train station, slept in the ground in the train station. And the second day we found a bed and breakfast for a couple. We were low on money at this stage. We were giving your man Mark Sloan all that fucking money, like. And
yeah, he's obviously a weasel as well. Do you know what I mean?
I think he retired a couple of years ago, but he was famous for this as well, like, because they were going to run a show. Part of this thing was you're doing your couple of weeks, and then they have like a local event, and everybody who finishes it gets to do a show, and it was going to be recorded and put on the internet. We were like, this is kind of cool. So we were sickened, but I can't. We were a little bit older than the rest of the boys that were doing it, so it was like, this like, I understand hard work, like, you know what I mean. I'm from fucking Cabra. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. Like, I know what it's like to not have a shower for a few days, and I know what it's like to be hungry. But like, this is he's doing this on purpose because he thinks he's making men out of us. Like,
well, you see, the problem was, boy, because I'm familiar with the lads you're talking about, and we knew that they were a crock of shit under the Frontier Martial Arts, or the Frontier Wrestling
Alliance or something, yeah.
So they were basically trying to be a knockoff of NWA UK Hammerlock, and basically a lot of guys like Johnny Storm and Alex Shane had gone there and worked shows because they had a falling out with our coach Andre Baker. But the difference was we had the same thing that you had, as in you were woken up 6, 7 in the morning. Andre's dog was a lovely bulldog, would just come in and lick you. You know, you'd be in the ring, but if you were smart, you knew that there was ribbon. But it was a very, very family orientated thing. If you put in the work, you got to drink at the bar with Andre at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's none of that for us. It was just when you finished, it was go to bed.
Difference. Yeah, there you go. That's the difference, and that's what I'm saying. The one thing I have to, because Hammerlock gets a bad rep sometimes from some people that go, he was this and he was that, and Andre's not with us anymore, so rest in peace, Andre. But guys like John Ryan, Danny Garnell, John Moss, who were training us. I was very smart. Sometimes I used to sleep under the ring in the sleeping bag because that way you wouldn't wake up with the word cunt written over your forehead in the morning. You know what I mean? But you got your breakfast, you got to eat, you could go out and do whatever you want. So that sounds like bleeding. That just sounds like it sounds like someone that's trying too hard to be a sergeant major, to be honest with you.
That's
so
all
Mark
it was.
Sloan, if you're listening to this, fuck you.
I'm sure loads of people have great stuff to be the politician here. I'm sure loads of people like Mark and get on well with him, but my experience with him wasn't positive.
I've heard many stories, my friend. So you're just confirming.
So yeah, we fucked off. We got an early ferry home or whatever. However, I can't even remember. We flew in train to bleeding Luton or something, which cost us like £90 each. Because trains in England are bleeding mental if you don't pre-book them in ages. And so we spent all our money getting home, and it was grim. And it was around. We were just starting Irish Whip at the time as well. So, we used to mess around. We'd like set up the ring like the night before, and we'd stay there all night fucking around. And if someone like Lee Butler or someone was around, he would like show you a few bits and bobs as well. Like I never put mad time into wrestling training. Like it was just something that I wanted to try, you know. And then I put my ankle up on tour in the States. Oh yeah, we had a day off. This is a good one. I had a day off in Detroit, and we decided to go to the cinema just to do something that wasn't drinking. And we went to the cinema, and walking out, I had to see this garbage film called The Island with Ewan McGregor.
Oh, and,
yeah. Dirt, absolute dirt. And I slipped on the butter out of popcorn, right? Someone spilled that popcorn on the stairs in the oil in the cinema.
Yeah.
And I slipped on it, and I rolled my ankle so bad that I saw the sole of my foot.
Oh, shit.
And I had no insurance. We were over there illegally. It was like one of the first tours we'd ever done in the States. And I absolutely 100% broke my ankle. But I had no insurance. I couldn't go to the doctor. I couldn't go anywhere. So we had to go. We found like one of these wholesaler pharmacy type of fucking drugstores. Yeah. And I bought a pair of crutches. And I bought like a load of bandages. And I just wrapped it up and I finished the tour on crutches. And but my ankle, even to this day now, I thought it was my ankle. And I was like that. And it was purple and black. And it was definitely broken. 100% broken. And by the time we got home, it was just sore. It wasn't blown out or anything anymore. But that was even now, like I'm walking down the road, my ankle just goes, no, it gives it up. So that was the end of that bleeding.
Oh, once you roll the ankle once, it's with you forever. Yeah, I had something similar in football. You know, when you wear the football boots and you just roll it, only ever so slightly, but it's something that stays with you.
It's enough, just that quick fucking whack all of a sudden. But this one, like I said, I saw the sole in my foot.
Oh, like no, that's nasty, man.
Yeah, like my ankle bone, the bit that sticks out the side, touched the ground. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was.
Fuck.
And actually, the poor drummer, skinny drummer, was standing in front of me in the step, and it happened that quick that my brain just kind of exploded, and I hit him the biggest dig. I lashed him this dig out of it in the back of the head and sent him flying. And he turned around and started milling me out of it while I was falling into the cinema seat, screaming, holding my ankle. So, oh man, fucking unreal. But that was the end that I wanted to be a leading wrestler after that. After that ankle roll, because literally to this day now, every 2 or 3 weeks now I'll do it again, like, you know.
Just a little, like you mentioned there earlier, just a little. You need to get some of those. You need to get
when I ended up
basketball
getting
shoes.
Exactly, yeah. Well, that's why I wear the high tops now, tied on.
Yeah,
tight.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even to this day, like I have plantar fasciitis now, so all the tendons in my feet are bollocksed as well from kind of walking in bars and all that as well. So
yeah, because you're on your feet all day. Yeah.
So sometimes you'll meet me, I'll be on a bleeding crutch, I'll be on a cane, you know. So I actually have a cane. I'm 40 years of age. I have to go around a cane sometimes, you know.
That's kind of cool though. You know what comes next now when you reach 50? It's the dinner jacket. And then, you know what I mean? And then the pipe and you'll be grand, man.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking about turning into one of them dapper cunts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The full 3-piecer and a little hat, little fedora.
Change the accent and everything. Hello.
Yeah, the whole shebang, yeah. I was thinking about that. But I don't know if I can handle them dress shoes. I think it might work, yeah. I think it might work. And what I need is a lovely distinguishing scar or something. So I need to get attacked by a tiger or something.
There.
And I get a good, lovely facial scar. Be real fucking mysterious then.
Go Sabu on yourself, yeah?
Yeah. I fucking had Sabu in the pub a couple of years ago. After one of the OTT shows, Seville came out for a few points. I think he had to be put out. Because he was locked. I think, if I remember correctly.
You'd have to do it a nice way with him as well, wouldn't you? Because you never know what gimmick he's carrying. Like,
well, I met him in Detroit at a Insane Clown Posse Wrestling ICW show.
Oh, do you remember that show?
Well. Yeah. I went to see that in Detroit once.
It's some of the, in terms of, because you've actually, in fairness, you talked about, you know, the band 20 Bulls each, and you did tour the States, and you kind of toured with, you know, you've been on stage with some big bands.
Yeah, we done once we knocked the little shows in the head, like I said, we decided let's kind of pick and choose them. So we'd only play gigs that we chose to do, like that we were putting on, or if it was like a big support or something like that, you know. So we ended up playing with most of the bands that we liked. But like still as support bands, here's the cold hard truth of the whole thing is that no one gives a fuck about support bands. Like, it's just something for the support bands to be able to tell their mates that they're playing with whoever, you know, playing with Down Saturday, you're coming. It's like, all right, yeah. And they'll show up at 9:30 and like, you already played an hour ago. You know what I mean? Support bands are just almost a necessary evil.
To fill in the gap, I suppose, to fill in the time.
It's something to have, like, and I know this now is like, because I was a promoter longer than I was in bands, and now running a bar and venue, that it's something that I appreciate a good support band, and there's an art to picking a good support band. But like, realistically, unfortunately, no one really gives a shit, and it's something to have. It's to have a bit of activity in the room while people are coming in, and it's also an opportunity for the sound engineer to work out any gremlins. You know what I mean? So it is a necessary evil, but sometimes you can do away with it altogether. Like, for the last 3 or 4 years in Thomas House, for most of the big bands that we booked, most of the big acts, didn't even bother putting supports on. Didn't bother a hole. We get the band in at like 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon, get all their gear set up, do a sound check, fuck off. Right, boys, we're going to open the doors at 9 o'clock. You're going to go on at 10. You're going to finish at 11, 11:15, and that's it. That's it. And once we open the doors, just bleeding Spotify or something, hit play, turn it up loud so people know the venue's open. Go up, tell people venue's open, let them crowd in. And once it gets to X amount of people, band hit the stage, and that's it. And to be honest with you, for small venues, works out 10 times better. For the big venue, you won't need to support that too. But
that makes sense. That makes sense.
For small venues, just have the main event. Just go straight to fucking Hogan Warrior. You know what I mean? Just do it.
Yeah, makes sense.
For small ones, because otherwise people are coming back and forward all the time, and it fucks up the flow. You want to get them down there and hit them with it instantly, and works in a small room. You know, working hitting up the 300 or 400 people, I'd say. And then after that, you have to have someone just for the sound engineers. Like, oh, there's a weird pop coming out of that kick drum microphone. I'll fix that before the main band go up. You know, because that's what they are. They're just exercise for the sound engineer. And like, the running percentages on these things as well, like trying to get bands over to Ireland and paying for hotels and riders and fucking stupid stuff. Like, some of the riders I saw are just...
give us a few.
The best one I ever saw was one that we never actually booked, and it was fucking... I'm a massive Wu-Tang fan, and we got offered Wu-Tang Clan. I was like, holy shit, man, we have to take Wu-Tang Clan.
I'm a big Method Man fan myself.
Yeah. So I'm like, we have to take fucking Wu. So we got sent over like all the tech spec, and the tech spec of it was stupid. We were like, right, well, these lads are going since fucking 1991, whatever. They know what they want. And then I got sent a rider, and the rider was going to be as expensive as their fee.
Oh, good Lord.
Their fee, if I remember correctly, their fee was, for a once-off bog standard show, it was like 10 grand, which is not too bad. But the rider, including hotel, each one of them had to have a room in a 5-star hotel. We had to have a case of Cristal. We had to have a case of Hennessy. We had to have, it was like 24 bottles of red wine. A case. Hundreds of bottles of beer, hundreds of bottles of water. Or food had to be a chef on site to do, you know, fucking Inspector Deck only eats this, Method Man only eats this, RZA only eats this, you know, Capadonna only eats this. So you had to have a chef who'll prepare food either there or off site and bring it there fresh for them. And it was going to work out to be another like 10-12 grand just for their rider. And then we were going to sell it off to. We were going to sell them off to one of the festivals, but their fee went up to like 60 grand or something like that for a festival. Maybe even 80, I can't remember. So we just had to just fucking drop the mic on that one. Say, no, thank you. Most riders were fairly standard. And most of them, to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you, you can ignore most riders because that's some manager or some booking agent, especially some European booking agent, who has worked out a deal with their American booking agent. And they got sent something over 3 years ago that just says a meat and cheese platter, 24 bottles of fucking Volvic water, blah, 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 right? And you're looking at it going like, so they want snacks and they want water and they want batteries for the guitar pedals. They all want 9 volt batteries. They must have thousands of them going home. Even though they all show up with power adapters, they all want 9 volts just in case something goes wrong.
Yeah.
So you run out to Lidl or Aldi and you buy a load of bleeding shitty cheese. If they're American, they get the shittest cheese. That bleeding easy single, right? If they're Europeans, they get like Gouda or something, right?
Yes.
And get some bread and some shy ham, and like, you could do it all for 50 quid. You know what I mean? Easy. And I'm telling you right now, we ate most of the riders from most of the bands we ever brought over because they didn't go near it. They never went near it. You'd have fruit. The first couple of gigs we ran, it was unreal, man. You want to see it? Like Caligula's fucking den. There was clobber everywhere for them, laid out on platters and everything. And when they left, it was all still there. You know what I mean? We were taking it back home, putting it in our fridges. So you just have something there for them. Because if they walk in and see nothing, they get mad pissy. But if there's something there, they might eat and they might not. But generally what we used to do is we worked out a deal with a pizza company, a place called Credo up off Wexford Street. And we said, listen, we'll put your logo on the posters if you feed the band. So we just hand the band the menu, and they don't pizzas, pastas, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they just say, I'll have blah, 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 blah. We rang them up, and it'd be delivered half an hour later. And they were fed for free on our behalf. And it was great food as well. We'd throw another few in for like the doorman and the sound engineer and shit like that, keep all them happy.
I love it. You know, I've actually a funny little story for you. I remember Fozzy, Chris Jericho's band, they were playing in Temple Bar Music Centre because they never played the same place twice when they've come over.
Yeah, that's right.
And me and one of my mates went to it, and it's so stupid. It's a funny story that I'll tell you, but it's so stupid on my part, and it shows you that I was getting fucking to that point where I was drunk because, you know, when you go downstairs, I said, here, I'm just going to the Jacks because the support band had basically just finished playing. So I said, I'm going to go to the Jacks before the gig starts. And as I'm walking down, you know that first door when you come down, that's obviously with the code on it. That's how you get into the backstage, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you turn right, as you know, you go, the men's Jacks are here on the left. And then the next door down is one where they bring all the gear in. So I'm walking down in the midst of the support brand bringing their fucking gear back. And I forget to take the left turn into the fucking main Jacks. So, and as you know, they have a Jacks backstage, like.
A better one.
Yeah, much better.
With showers and everything.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So I continue walking in. Yeah, because I worked with H on a gig before, just as a bit of helping them out. Like, I think it was for the Poodles, and the Poodles supported Hammerfall. It might have been. I think I'm not too sure. It might have been Hammerfall or something. I can't remember. But anyway, I keep walking, and all of a sudden I walk in, and there's Rich Ward and Chris Jericho standing there, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh shit! What am I? So, all right, lads. Where's the Jacks? And they were like, oh, right there. And I was like, okay. Went into the Jacks and I went, I'm at the just fucking not even trying to
autopilot
into the fucking place just by mistake.
Oh, I've done that as well because I used to know that they used to change the codes every month, but I nearly played there every month or at least every 2 months. So the code would be in my head, and if you had some random gig, I think I went to see Against Me or something in there. And same thing, went downstairs, pop, 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 walked straight in. I was like, there's the gang sitting there. I'm like, oh, I'm after doing it as well. It's like, oh, the Jacks, whatever. Because there's that many people coming back and forward, they don't give a shit. There's usually one. What we used to find is that most of these American bands that get sent over to Europe, they'll usually go through like a booking agency like MAD or Avocado or something like that, and they'll be given like a local. Now the local will be German, every time be fucking German, right?
Yeah.
Because most of these companies are based in Germany, and they'd be given this bleeding hard enough bastard to travel around Europe with them, who can speak a lot of different languages, but generally some fucking ex-white supremacist, skinhead, Nazi-looking cunt, right? That they send out with them, and nearly every time, especially with the metal and the hardcore bands, it'd be just some hard enough. Now they generally turn out to be lovely, but they're mad looking and they're lethal.
Well, they're there for that purpose, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And it'd be just their job to make sure that no one's messing with the bands or whatever. And they're always the ones to look out for. The band. I'll give a shit because that's new people. They're meeting hundreds of new people every day. And it's just, you know, fucking boats at night. But this, whoever MAD or Avocado or whoever it is that send over with them, was always, he'd be like a hawk. Because his job depends on getting them to and from everywhere safely. And he will collect the money. He collects the wages. You know what I mean? Hand out. Like we brought over Agnostic Front once.
Oh, nice, man.
And we brought them over twice, actually. But we brought them over, put them on in Whelan's. Yeah, Whelan's. And 20 Bulls played with them as well. Yeah, we played with them as well. And they sent over one of them hard nuts as well. But remember, they had a big nightliner bus, big giant one. And they went to park it in that the cash and carry, the wholesalers around the side of Whelan's. And your man backed it in and he hit the bleeding awning of the wholesalers and fucking broke it in half. Like,
oh no,
has nothing to do with Whelan's at all. And we're standing there like fucking looking. And we got lucky that Kev's missus at the time was German and the driver was German, so he comes out giving it loads in German. And I'm like, I know you speak English, I was talking to you an hour ago. Stop pretending you don't know what I'm saying. And then the Minder fella comes out and he starts roaring in German. And I'm like, hang on a second, I ran in and I got Cathy, brought her out. She's, what's after happening there? He's after backing into that and he's trying to blame me. He's saying that I was backing him into this fucking overhang and he's trying to blame us and he thinks that we're going to have to pay for it. And she goes, oh no, she went over within 5 minutes and it's all sorted. John was our best mate then once he realised that fucking we had someone who knew the lingo, you know?
Yeah.
The dog's gone mad now. But that used to happen all the time.
It's all right.
Exactly. But that used to happen all the time. You just get some mad hard no that they'd send over. Now, a lot of the smaller bands, smaller kind of punk bands, they would do it completely DIY and they'd like be booking it themselves. You'd be dealing with them. You know what I mean? Like, I used to have them staying. Like this room in now, that's like my little podcast room. There's like a spare bedroom and I used to have loads of them up here. You know what I mean? It's like 2 or 3 of them to a double bed and 2 of them on the floor. Like if they were that kind of, they'd rather take the maximum amount of money than lose money by having us organise, you know, B&Bs or hotels or something like that for them. They're like, we'll stay anywhere. Don't give a shit. We'll eat and stay anywhere.
Yeah.
Because that was, you're dealing with something like Agnostic Front and they'd have a fee of, let's say, $2,500. But they'd also have like an 80% deal on the door money. So at the end of the night, you'd meet up with the hard nut and he'd say $2,500 in my hand. And you go, right, hand it to him. And you go, right, what was the gate? And you say, blah, 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 blah. And you go, right, what were your expenses? And you have to have receipts for everything you bought, and all the hotel, sound engineer, venue, all this type of shit. And say there was £1,000 left profit that you think you're going to go home with. In the contract, it says they're entitled to 80% of that. And that would be fairly standard for most big touring bands. So for this whole fucking endeavor, you might get £200. You know what I mean? For doing this whole big joint gig. It's not worth it, man. You know? That's why we stopped doing all the big gigs. We just stopped doing all the big gigs. It's easier to deal with kind of smaller bands that have a genre following. Because like the venue at Thomas House only fits like 100 people max. So we're like, if we can pack this place out with 100 people, and we're dealing with someone that like get them a hotel around the corner on the cheap, or they're gonna jump on the bus straight after and drive to the ferry because they got a 2 o'clock in the morning ferry or whatever, you know. Or someone who used to just stay drinking in the pub till 7 o'clock in the morning and just get the first ferry home, you know, or the first ferry back to England because I had another gig the next night, you know. So that was always the easiest way to deal with them, to be honest with you.
The life of a rock and roll star, yeah, that's the truth of it. You know what I mean? And it's not all kind of, you know, red carpets and fucking.
I'd say 80 to 90% of the bands that like you like, unless it's like Metallica or U2 or something like that, if it's just like a good band that are pretty big in that genre or whatever, like I'd say 90% of them are broke like just the money it costs to actually do a tour. And a lot of them when they're doing European tours, they'll have broken off from another tour. So you'll get some metal band that's touring with another bigger metal band, and that tour finishes in Belgium. And they're like, well, to make it work, well, we have to do another month of headline shows ourselves in smaller venues, you know.
That's
and
it. Like,
that's how
unless
get
you're someone like Phil Anselmo or something like that, where you made your money back in the 90s and you fucking saved your money.
Yeah,
like
you just want to have fun, essentially, now.
Yeah, you can just do what the hell you want. You've got your house, you've got your gaff, you've got your studio at your back. You can do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? So exactly. I would agree with you there. In terms of the Thomas House, when you took over, you've actually had some quite famous people in there. You've had the likes of Alice in Chains, Morrissey, Deftones, Bill
I went in the piss,
which is a great one.
Bill Burr. I went in the piss with Bill Burr one night. I went in the piss with Morrissey another night. I missed Alice in Chains when they came in. They were just people who came up drinking. So, but a lot of random bands, like Every Time I Die, they were there a couple of times drinking. Who else was up there?
What was Bill Burr and Morrissey like, to be honest with you? Because they're two people I'm actually a fan of. So
yeah, Bill is not like he is on telly. Most of those comedians aren't. They're kind of sad souls, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And no, he wasn't sad. He was just bog standard. Like, he wasn't trying to be funny, because he was surrounded by people who were trying to be funny, you know. Like loads of the promoters and the crew from the gig came up after and stuff like that. And he was kind of stuck on this table of people who were involved in the show that he just done in the Tree Arena. And it was me and my gang were just kind of at the bar packing up, essentially, finishing up, and he'd come over randomly to us and just kind of sit there and talk about whiskey, and I think he'd just given up smoking. This is about 6 months before he gave up drink as well. He doesn't drink anymore either. So this is close to just before he gave up the gargle and smoking and everything like that. And he just kind of sat with us, talked shy. He wanted to order Jameson. We were like, "Stop, you're not a tourist. Don't be drinking Jameson. You fucking
Redbreast, baby."
Well, not even Redbreast. He was like, I don't want to drink fancy stuff. So it was Powers, like, because bog standard Gold Label is just the king of domestic bog standard whiskies. So like, it's just Gold Label. If you want normal whiskey, what everybody else drinks, Gold Label. Yeah. More fancy stuff, we have Redbreast, and we've got John's Lane, we've got all this stuff. We said, no, just bog standard and a pint of Guinness. And he sit around, he bought around for everybody, tipped one of the girls that was working. It's just bog standard, nice fella. He let me take a picture of him. I had a Papa mask from Ghost. I had that hanging up above the bar, and I said, "Can I take a photo with you?" And he says, "Yeah, no worries." And I said, "Can I wear the mask?" And he went, "What?" I said, "Can I put a mask on?" He said, "All right, yeah." So I just put the Papa mask on and tucked it all, this big latex one, and I brushed all the hair back. So I have a photo of me, but you can't even tell it's me.
Was that the one with that was from Square Hammer? That mask, is it? Yeah.
So I have photo
my favorite gimmick still from Ghost, by the way. I just want to say that.
Oh yeah, Trey, yeah, absolutely. Tour Papa by far the best. Definitely. But then Morrissey came over, because I'd know Morrissey's guitarist, his main songwriter, a guy called Boz Burr. I know him real well, know him years, and he was in a rockabilly band called the Polecats. Okay. And Polecats probably, they'd be most known by like people of our age for doing the main song from Wall-E, that Pixar movie or whatever it is.
Yeah, that Make a Circuit with me. Lad's a big fan. Lad be a big Clash fan. So your man Mick from the Clash as well. He would have done a lot of stuff with them. Yeah,
exactly. So we got word that Morrissey was in town. His family are Irish, you know. So he drops over a good bit. We got word saying that he wanted to come up because Kev, my business partner Kev, would know Morrissey going back years. He went on tour with him a few times and stuff like that. And so he'd know him. And I had met the gang a year before in Poland. My missus Polish, so I spent a lot of time in Krakow. So I was over in Krakow. Morrissey was playing Krakow. So I got on to them. We went to the gig and we hung out with them for a couple of days. They hung around Krakow, brought me out on the piss and going record shopping and stuff like that. And I got the word saying he's coming up to the pub. And I was like, it was my night off. And I said, you know what? I've heard that fucking 10 times before, and I'm not coming in for nothing. I said, ring me if he shows up, and I'll jump in a taxi or something, come in. And fair enough, an hour later I got a phone call. And closed off the back bar, and it was him and his cousin. And his PR agent or something like that. I just sat there with my drinking whiskey, to be honest with you. Got locked. He went down to the venue was empty. He went down, up the stage, started singing. And I was like, will I take my bleeding camera out and record this? Will I get this? And I was like, I'm not going to do that. His first time in the pub, I don't want to be that fella. you know.
Yeah, camera right.
So yeah, exactly. So we hung out for the night, drank. He got locked. We got locked. He's strange fella, but he's nice. I think he's been famous since he was very, very young, and I think that he's been surrounded by a lot of people who kind of insulated him from the real world a little bit. You know what I mean?
I get you. I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'd be a big Smiths fan, for example.
Yeah.
Like, I think the Smiths, and I'm sure you might agree with me or disagree, but I think Smiths are one of the most influential bands that
100%,
that don't get the credit for. I mean, even a band like Oasis, for example, credit the Smiths in influencing them. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
phenomenal band.
100%. But yeah, he was sound, and then Jesus. I mean, we had. Who else did we have in there? Who else? A lot of wrestlers came in. Chris Jericho came in on the piss one night. Chris Jericho walked in with a smoke in his mouth, actually. And Kev
walked in with a smoke. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah,
smoke.
hanging out his mouth. Yeah, he tells people he doesn't smoke. He smokes. And he doesn't inhale. Just likes the taste of it or something, he said.
Right.
And
okay.
But he walked in with smoke.
The taste of smokes.
But he walked in with smoke hanging out his mouth, and Kev didn't know. And he ran over, because Kev didn't watch wrestling. He ran over, I grabbed him, you know. So the fuck out. And Jerry goes, what? The fuck out of here right now. And our mate Jake Kennedy was working at the time, and he ran out and he jumped between Kev and Jericho, and he turned around to Kev and said, "You can't kick him out. He bet Stone Cold Steve Austin for the Universal title." And Kev was like, "Who the fuck is he?" He's like, "He's one of the most famous wrestlers in the world, man. Like just tell him he can't smoke in here, it'd be grand." So I think he bought everybody around the Cargill as well. It was packed, and he hung out for a while, and then he split off again. But yeah, he was up there. Sabu came in, had a lot of points one night. Jesus, who else? I don't even remember. In terms of bands, we've had like Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols. He done a gig for us. Jesus, we've had lads from Black Sabbath play there, lads from The Clash play there. 1,000,001 punk bands, like you name it. Sylvain from the New York Dolls done a gig there a couple of years ago. He just died the other day. Fuck me, lads from the Libertines. I don't even know, man. The list is Bonehead from Oasis played a gig there.
Deadly.
Him and his mental mate who we had singing for him. Jesus Christ. Bonehead was lovely, actually. He was a nice fella. Who else? The list is endless, man. After 10 years, it's kind of hit after hit after hit. Do you know what? Most of the best gigs were bands that were kind of tiny at the time, or kind of didn't get appreciated till way after. You know what I mean? So the bands like Bell Witch and stuff like that, who were kind of had a decent enough name at the time, but they just sold out that gig. And so Watch You From Afar played gigs there. Jesus Christ, Fontaine's DC, they're huge now. They played there. Murder Capital, they played there. I think Pillow Queens, they're pretty big now as well. They played there. And then there's been loads of events where people like sneak in, like Hosier was there one night. I didn't even know. So there's Hosier. He's from your neck of the woods, I think, isn't he? Bray.
The Bray man, yeah. Well, he claims to be from Bray. I've never seen him, and I know everyone in Bray.
Everybody knows everybody in Bray.
I think he's just latching on to Katie Taylor and Finn Balor's.
Maybe. Are you still living in Bray? Or are you outside now?
No, I'm a Finglas man.
All right. I thought you were Bray originally, no?
I am, yeah. My mother's from Finglas and my dad's from Bray, so I used to come out here at the weekend. So
okay, cool.
Back out in Finglas at the moment, purely because like Dublin, Bray is just absolutely impossible to live in at the moment.
Yeah,
because of the old scruples. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. Yeah, I was born and raised between Cabret and Finglas, so I don't even know if my estate in Finglas exists anymore.
Where are you now?
I think it's gone. I'm in North Strand now. I keep forgetting where I live.
So
North Strand.
Far from me. Yeah,
I am handy enough now.
Once the lockdown is finished, we'll I'll pop down to you and we'll
absolutely. We'll do something with We'll do something with the action figures and all that malarkey as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's cool, and I think what's cool about it as well is that it's a really cool story. Like your kind of your life, in the sense that you can't really call your life a career if that, you know what I mean, in that, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. You know what I'm getting at.
It's a bin fire, is what it is. It's a bin fire, but loads of shite in the bin, like.
But it's the same as me. You know what I mean, and I think that's really cool. And before we kind of get on to what you're doing now, I think I'd be remiss, and I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask. Like in terms of the bar itself, forget about
Mm,
famous people and stuff. Like running a bar, as you said,
mm,
you didn't know what you were doing at the start.
mm,
Have you? What's the maddest bar stories you can tell us? Do you have any kind of cool bar stories? Because people always love talking about bar stories, especially my audience,
yeah,
because they hear about pro wrestlers getting
yeah.
involved in bar fights, like Rick Rude just getting his missus to go up and flirt with lads just so he could box the
Mm.
head off them. You have any kind of cool bar stories in terms of like
There's a couple
madness?
of there's a couple of bleeding batshit mad jokes. There's one. All right, so how do I even explain this? The fucking hell. So a mate of mine who drinks the pub, his name's Towner, right? And Towner's everybody's bleeding best mate. He's like everybody's little brother, even though he's probably older than them, you know. And we're in there one night, and there used to be this American college called Champlain College, and I think they were from New England, and they had some sort of program where American students would come to Ireland and study in Ireland for a year.
Yeah.
And where they would stay in the Stay City hostel around the corner. It's like apartments, and they would stay in them for the year. And we would become the regular bar because we're probably the closest bar and be the closest thing to like a young people bar in the area. And so they'd be up with us pretty much every night. And Jesus, I think it was a Friday night, people used to bring in, they still do, but people are bringing like mad bottles of gargle that they'd buy on the holidays and shit like that. And someone brought in this bottle of some sort of brandy or vodka that had a lizard in it, like a gecko, big bastard, right, in the bottle. Don't know how they got it in there, but it was full, guts and all, like in the bottle. And it was meant to be one of them things that somebody buying like Macaresh or something, you know what I mean? You put it on the shelf and it's got a cobra in it, or a scorpion or something. It looks cool, but I don't think you're actually meant to drink it. But one of the American kids said, they saw it and they were like, will you give me a free pint? You give me a free pint if I drink a shot of that. And I said, absolutely, like 100%, yeah. So I take it down, crack it open, plop it into a shot, and hand it to him. And we get him in behind the bar. We could put a couple of cases. Everybody has their phones out, they're recording it. The full bar. Puts gets up on the two beer cases and just bang, lashes into him, right? And everybody's giving it loads, you know. And Towner's sitting there with the point, and he's like, a shot. Is that all you're going to have? And this fucking little American fella's like, yeah. So what? Towner's saying, give me that bottle. Sorry. And he reaches over the bar, he gets like 2 or 3 pint glasses, and he empties all the gargle out of it into the pint glasses, right?
Good Lord.
And he reaches into his backpack and he pulls out a plastic bag, and he puts the glass bottle into a plastic bag, smashes it on the bar into 1,000 pieces, right? Takes the plastic bag. This is all probably on YouTube somewhere. Walks up behind the bar, gets up on top of the crates, reaches into the plastic bag and pulls out this bleeding gecko, and the whole thing into his mouth. Eats the entire fucking gecko. There and then. Glass and all covering the whole thing. There's photos of it with its bleeding tail sticking out of his mouth and all. Ate and swallowed the whole thing.
Man, that is fucking crazy.
Yeah, Towner's a fucking animal,
man. yeah, because obviously you have some good characters that come down there, like 3 Meter Peter, as we call him.
Oh yeah.
Peter Reese, obviously.
Yeah.
Huge and scary man, great lad though. Always on the gig scene, always watching.
Always watching. Yeah, like Darman Paddy and all that. They'd be all floating around as well.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. But that's a great story.
Cast the characters, man, mad shit. Like,
it's like Cheers for over 18s, isn't it?
Pretty much. The next time you're talking to Jake Hendy, ask him about the ball of shy. Right.
Okay.
Ask him about their ball of shy. I'll let Jake Hendy tell you that story. And if we ever do this again, I'll tell you again, but I'll let him tell that story. Unreal. Like, the stuff people are dirt.
Oh, you know? Yeah.
Like, the stuff I've seen would turn your stomach, man. Turn your stomach. I've seen people drop their cacks, like birds drop their cacks and just piss on the floor. I've seen brothers fucking going at each other with broken bottles. I've seen, Jesus, like, respected teachers and stuff like that like college tutors and famous people going fucking bald headed for people. It's just, you know, people picking fights with staff. It's just that Jekyll and Hyde difference between people when they're sober and when they have gargle in them, and that doesn't affect, like, gargle is so different for everybody. It's mad the difference, you know. And you can, when you're doing it long enough, you can look at someone for a split second, and you can see like the change in them. You see, oh, here we go. This is level 10 John. Now we're going to get, you know what I mean? Level 10 John needs to be handled very, very carefully, and we're going to have to get a taxi for him now in the next 20 minutes. Like, I used to have the My Taxi app open on an iPad that I had Velcroed onto the side of a fridge, and I'd be just ready to go, beep, like, get that fucker out of here, like, you know.
It's time.
Because you couldn't trust our mates either, you know, because the mates might stay, they're probably fine, they're having a great night, but there's always one bleeding, you know, fucking cross they have to bear of me, you know. Everybody has one of them. But, like, we're the ones that have to deal with them at the end of the night. It's often happened where somebody just fuck up and leave them, you know, and you're left with this fucker to sleep, pissing himself on the couch, you know, all the time.
Lord.
Yeah, so
I suppose in wrapping up, it would be criminal if we didn't talk about your current podcast and your current venture. Obviously, the Lost Art podcast is you and another one of our mutual friends in Helmet, of course.
Yep. Yeah.
I know he doesn't like to be called that, so
we'll I don't call him anything else. I refuse to call him Paul. I don't care.
We'll call him Paul. We'll call him.
Yeah,
Paul
but for this we'll call him Paul. But
so that he doesn't give out to me, because I want him on the show one time. So
yeah. I get him.
My first, I obviously kind of checked you out early on, just on the audio stuff rather than the actual, you know, rather than the video. And then when I saw the video, he actually sent me he sent me a video there a few weeks ago, and he goes, "You're gonna love this." And of course, I watched the video with you and him doing the playing one of the wrestling games, and it was all these.
That put together,
was absolutely comical.
Yeah. That was fun. I think there's another one of them to come out now. At some stage, there's another one. We done like a Royal Rumble. Well, and to be fair, listen, that was Helmet. Like, Helmet done it all, and he put together like WWE 2K19 or something like that, and he built eight female singers, like Bjork and Courtney Love and Lizzo and all them. Yeah, and we just let the computer have a Royal Rumble, and then he recorded it and he edited it down, and then he ran it 2 or 3 times. Basically made like a proper match out of it. And me and him sat down one evening, and we just done commentary. Yeah, commentary on it. And then there's another one. There's one of Sharon Osbourne versus Lizzo backstage. That's on the Patreon. That's like a Patreon only one. Which is actually a better fight. The computer organised a much better fight between Sharon Osbourne and Lizzo backstage. They
obviously had a better booker. I mean, obviously it was Kevin Sullivan booking the first one.
Exactly.
You had Pat Patterson doing the second one.
Exactly, yeah. That was better. So we done the commentary for that. That's something the Patreon as well. But yeah, Lost Art is something that me and Helmet used to do, Paul. We used to do this. We done a podcast for years called the Nerd Eye Podcast, and it was like, there was about 10 of us involved in it. And every Tuesday night we get together and we play like card games and board games and war games, and we get locked. And then about midnight, we'd all sit down, plug in a microphone, and talk about video games, movies, whatever, you know. And if there was anything new coming out, new movies, new video games, talk about that stuff. And we've done that for, Jesus, 2 or 3 years. But kind of out of that, because I'd known Paul from, Jesus, years ago, playing gigs and DJing, and me and him had DJed a couple of times together and done a lot of events together. And me and him started talking about doing a music one. So I had this idea in my head about, I had the name and the logo before we even came up with what it was going to be about. Because originally it was going to be, we were going to build the ultimate playlist. We were going to add like 2 songs a week onto this playlist, but you could veto somebody else's. It's going to be this kind of overly complicated thing. But eventually we said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a weekly podcast, and to get around how you play music on these things.
Yeah.
Because you get shut down in a heartbeat on every platform. That the minute they hear music, so the chopping block comes out and they get rid of you. Yeah. So we said, let's just use Spotify. So we do a podcast called Lost Art, and it's basically about the whole idea of creating mixtapes. Like when we were a kid, we were all obsessed with making mixtapes.
Tape trading and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And No, we're going for the drive to make a tape for the drive or whatever, you know, pretending you were on the radio doing little fucking, here's the Bartman, you know what I mean? Press play and record at the same time, that type of thing.
That was the best on the old Ghetto Blaster. Like, you were waiting for the top 40 on 2FM with, what was his name?
Get rid of the DJ, nail it at the same time without getting caught by the DJ. So doing all that type of shit. And so we decided we'll make it like, we'll come up with a theme every week. So we'll do like best covers. And instead of playing the music on the podcast, we'll create a Spotify playlist. So when we put the podcast out, which is us talking about our choices, generally between 10 and 12 songs, when we're talking about them, we'll have a link in the podcast. They just click and it launches Spotify, and there you go. You can listen to the songs copyright free, and we won't get hung by the bollocks. And that's nearly 2 years now we're doing that. And that evolved into, during the lockdown, we weren't able to get together. So since last March, I've seen him once or twice, maybe when the lockdowns were dropped. A couple of times when the lockdowns were dropped. But generally, what we're doing now is we record a podcast once a week over Zoom like this. Just strip the audio out, and then that goes up every Monday morning. But most Saturday nights we do like a radio show. So we start at like 9 or 10, and we go to like 1:30 in the morning, and we just get locked, and we pretend we're in a pub, and we have a chat room set up. And me and him are connected via Zoom. It's unfortunately the software for what we're trying to do doesn't exist. So we had to kind of cobble something together using 3 or 4 different pieces of software and using like virtual audio cables and all. You think there's something where 2 people in different places can talk and go out live, but not really. Nothing that won't let you play music, you know. Yeah. So we cobbled together this kind of 3 or 4 suites of software using virtual audio cables, and I've mixing desks here, and because I'm a trained sound engineer as well. That's, if I had a trade, I'd be a sound engineer. Yeah. So the gaff is full of that type of shit. So we're able to figure it out. And every Saturday night, or at least every second Saturday night, we do a live show. It's me and him talking. We kind of write down topics we want to talk about every week, like what me and you are doing. Yeah. And then every like 10 minutes, play 2 or 3 songs, and we do that for like 4 hours every Saturday. And we got a chat room open, so all the people who subscribe to us, it's free to listen to. It's live, the whole shebang, and people to be talking in the chat room, and people request songs sometimes, and we have like a tip system set up of people want to tip us for doing the DJing of people. We have a Patreon set up. People, there's a bunch of people subscribe to the Patreon. That kind of pays for all our hosting fees and our fucking .coms, and there's about 6 different services that we have to subscribe to that are like between 10 and 20 quid a month just to do the podcast and do the live shows. And then on top of that, then as well, we do Lost Art TV, which is like a TV channel. So I turned the basement of the Thomas House pub into like a television set, and I stripped everything out of it. And we've got a pair of turntables set up on the stage, and then offside we've got a table with microphones and a green screen. And we've done 3 or 4 of them. We haven't been able to do it in ages because of the lockdown, but hopefully when things lift, we'll be able to do it again. And we get together and we do the same thing. It's like 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning, and we bring in, because I'm a big record collector, vinyl collector, so is Helmet. So we bring in like a couple of 100 records, and we just play records, and then we jump out, we talk shy, we do comedy sketches, we interview Michael Jackson. We interviewed Gary Oldman, which is just and it turned out it wasn't Gary Oldman, it was Gary the Old Man. It was just an outfit we pulled in off. Yeah. So we do all that type of malarkey. So we script out bits of it, and the rest of it we just kind of have fun with. Sometimes play music videos on it. So that was like our little TV station thing as well. We haven't been able to do that since November, just because of the lockdown. Yeah. But we'll get back to that at some stage. And then you've got the bullshit, like the wrestling videos, and fingers crossed we're going to start interviewing people on YouTube from bands and stuff like that then as well. But a lot of the stuff, just to be honest, ends up in the Patreon, because that's like I'm unemployed now with the pub closed for a year, so like doing podcasts and stuff, that's my job now. That's how I make money. And so, you know as well as me, the key is just you just keep hammering now. You know, you don't want to flood people with shit, but you want to have good shit for them out there. And that led then to exactly. And that led then to what I'm doing now with like the action figures and stuff, doing that with Wasted Youth, because like, how do I even explain it? I've been collecting action figures and comic books and garbage my whole life, and I could have bought a house 10 times over with the amount of money I spent on garbage, like on wrestling action figures, on comic action figures, on Ninja Turtles and G.I. Joes and He-Man, whatever. Like, and I still have loads of stuff left over from when I was a kid. Not all of it, loads of it. But I was still in my 20s and 30s buying this shit. Instead of like putting money aside for like buying a car, a house, or emigrating, you know. So probably at some stage I probably will fuck off. There's nothing here, you know. Yeah. And I'll keep the pub here and I'll open another pub, maybe in Poland or something. And I'll go somewhere where they want people who want to work, you know.
Well, that's it. Yeah, Ireland is we're not to get too political, but we're in a very, very strange situation, and we have been for a long time, longer than we've known it. Where they don't really want Irish nationals to really do well. Do you know what I mean?
I think,
and don't want anyone to do well. I don't just mean Irish nationals. You know what I mean?
They don't want any independent small organisation doing it.
Exactly.
You have to, the way I always explain it, you have to look at it from like the revenues point of view. I think I talked about this with Morris, where if they've got a Tesco, so Tesco hand one tax return to the revenue a year that covers all their stores, and it's probably dead on. You know what I mean? And that's one. They're going to get one bleeding Excel sheet sent to them, and they go, "That's all the Tesco's." But then there's fucking 40,000 little bastards like me who are sending them something where something's wrong, or the accountant forgot to do this, or I forgot that, and that clogs up the works on them. So they're looking at little swines like me.
Inconvenience.
Like that's all it is. You know, when they could have, you know, Costa Coffee send them one, and that covers the whole country, or they have like 10,000 small independent business or more.
Well, isn't it crazy? Isn't it crazy? I went out to the beautiful seaside town of Bray.
Stony Beach.
I need to get Stony Beach. I went in and we were kind of looking at it, myself and ourselves, and we were kind of coming in, and I noticed that Starbucks and all is open, and all these big places, but all the nice little coffee shops that we used to go to are closed, and some of them shut down now.
Yep, gone.
So you can see the agenda slowly coming in.
It's absolutely.
They want corporations. They want the likes of Wetherspoons and all to be open instead of
100%.
They want
100%.
all of these chains to be open, and that's, unfortunately, lads, we're not tinfoil hat wearers here when we're talking about this. This is just a reality of thing. I think people sometimes actually don't really take the time out to kind of look for themselves and see.
Just look around. Yeah, when you're out in town, especially now during a pandemic lockdown, look around and see what's open.
Exactly.
And you'll be very surprised. You'll see everything closed bar deals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And deals due to Brexit now are fucking nothing. If you want to buy a load of Frey Bentos pies, that's the place to be right now. Do you know what I mean? Because they've nothing else.
Nothing else, yeah.
Nothing else. You'll see your Starbucks are open, your Costas are open, that type of stuff. But like small little independent places, very, very few of them are open. And if they are, they're only open from like 10 till 1 or something like that. Because all the local offices and stuff are closed. So that's their bread and butter. It's gone, you know. So anyway, that's you could go fucking down the rabbit hole.
Oh, you could go down a rabbit hole with this tonight. In fairness, maybe
exactly.
Maybe that's for a different podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
About, you know, Joe Biden is the new president of America. Yay!
Yeah, super. Another country.
Get ready for more corporations this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's essentially what every country on earth wants now is a roof put over it and the Walmart fucking logo on the side of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's the way it feels right now. But
I got an email. I got an email today. Just which will show you. And by the way, this is no disrespect to our American listeners. Like about 65% of my listeners are American, but they'll understand what I'm trying to say. America now, as we know, they have Walmart and what's the other big one as well that they
just Target.
Target, that's the one.
I got a Target box today actually in the mail. Huh?
I tried to kayfabe America. I'm going to tell the truth. In fairness, the FBI won't mind this because they'll appreciate what I was trying to do. They have a lot of, as you know, they've got a lot of obscure wrestling figures that they sell over there, and they're exclusive to Walmart.
Yep.
And if you want to try and go on eBay to buy them, you're gonna pay an absolute fortune.
Yep.
So I was like, right, I'm gonna use the little Unpost app. I'm gonna try. It's like a VPN for wrestling figures, you know.
Yeah.
And they got me. They were like, it's not gonna happen. I
got
an American address and it didn't work. But the point I'm trying to make, and I think the point that you're making as well, is give it time. I guarantee you we're going to see Walmart over here within the next 10 years. Yeah. Within the next 10 years, that's going to happen. Maybe even 5.
So, don't the same company that own Tesco and Walmart now or something like that, same possibly, like conglomerate, possibly. I think so, own them. Yeah, you absolutely will. You're going to see your Targets and your Walmarts. But going back to the action figures, there's a company in.
Yeah, let's chat action figures. Actually,
there's a company in, I believe, that Germany. that are doing the Walmart exclusives in Europe. Now, Toy Master, I heard this today now. Toy Master have the license for the Walmart exclusives, and apparently they thought that was going to cover them for all of Europe. It's only covering them for the UK. So in the next 6 months, you'll see some of the smaller comic shops and action figure shops like the Big Bang and like Forbidden Planet, well, not small, but they're Dublin based, and Dublin City Comics and stuff like that. You'll see them starting to get the Walmart exclusives. Like I know there's a He-Man Panther that's coming out this year, and the normal one is the bog standard one you see is plastic, but the Walmart exclusive is flocked, like the old school 80s one.
Yeah, like the rubber.
It's fuzzy. Yeah. So there's a Walmart exclusive, but that will be in. You'll be able to get that in Dublin in a shop in the next few months.
That sounds good to me. I remember I was in Orlando about 2 years ago now, I want to say. Yeah, it was about 2 years ago. And we went to we took a day where we went to the mall. We went twice. We went to the Florida Mall, the Orlando Florida Mall. Biggest fucking thing you've ever seen, and I swear to God, you felt like you were in Groundhog Day because every corner you turned, it was the same layout. But about 8 of these long aisles. This isn't your, this ain't your mama's yoga. Like this was like, was like Blanchardstown multiplied by 100.
Yeah, it's mental over there. Yeah.
Went into like, it wasn't Target. It was another one of those Hot Topic. There we go. Went into Hot Topic, and just down below in the bottom, just like all these, WrestleFest figures, the Mattel ones, where they're in the arcade type box.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah,
and they had like Macho Man Randy Savage in the American in the red, white, and blue outfit that he used to wear. They had the that he wore once basically on commentary. They had the Honky Tonk Man in the blue, in the full blue getup.
I've seen one of Andre and Andre standing on a turnbuckle. I was looking at one of those online.
That's a new one. Cool that's a new one. I think that might be exclusive to Walmart as well. So I'm not too sure. Because this is the way they work it, because they think like that there's not enough wrestling fans to want to buy this, so they sell them to the likes of Hot Topic or Target or and they're exclusive to them. I mean, that Jim Neidhart figure is absolutely fantastic, and yet it's exclusive only to fucking Walmart. You want to, you try and buy that on eBay, forget about it. Like,
exactly. Well, that's
£100.
I use eBay a lot for a lot of the kind of old retro action figures. You go rooting online, and before the Brexit thing, it wasn't too bad to use. Like I said, the On Post app, use Address Pal, it gives you a UK address, gives you an American address, and you end up paying. I think from the UK you pay like €6 and they bring it to your door, and it's not the worst, especially if you're going, because they think they're selling to the UK, so it's generally cheap postage within the UK. UK to UK is generally cheap. So you might pay say €2-3 on the eBay end for shipping, and then you pay £6. So let's say 9 all in. So you have to make sure it's worth it. You know what I mean?
You do, yeah.
But now with Brexit, if it's over £20, they're gonna hit you. Like I bought where is it here? Is it? No, I moved it. I bought a Skeletor, one of the new kind of remastered Skeletors.
Nice.
And I think it cost €24, then €4 English shipping, then £6.50 to Ireland, and then I get a bill for £9 on customs on it. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been cheaper to just order it from a shop or something.
Now, to all my UK friends, it's really gonna not end well for you, this, because people are just gonna stop trading and stop.
Absolutely.
The UK.
So the comic shops, I know 2 lads down comic shops in Dublin, and they are yesterday they got their deliveries that were supposed to arrive in the middle of December. Wow. So people who do weekly or waiting on weekly comics, they haven't got their new comics since the middle of December.
It's absolute madness. It's madness. I suppose we could, like you said, we could go down the rabbit hole all night. I think we're definitely going to have you on again for sure. If you're happy to come on again,
absolutely,
we'd love to have you. We'll bring Jay in on it as well.
Yeah,
I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah,
it's been fantastic. I think everyone that's listened to this, like I listened to you on Morris's show. I knew you were an interesting guy. I was like, I'm getting that guy, definitely, 100%. So,
thanks.
No, 100%. I mean that. That's 100% true. So yeah, it's a pleasure talking to you, and I think
it's fun.
100%. We know that, like, the great thing about this for people, I suppose, that are kind of feeling down about themselves and stuff, and you know, they like listening to particular shows like this for an hour or 2 hours or whatever, and it takes their mind off something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I do that all day, walking around listening to other people talk shit. Like,
absolutely. And the great thing about it is you build friendships out of these type of things. So
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'll be the first one in the bar in the Thomas House when that opens up again, and I'll be saying, pour me a gecko shot. And
exactly. let's bite the head off a lizard. Let's get wild.
Shot a gecko. That will never happen. I won't do that. But no, Garrett, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for taking the time out to come on.
No worries.
Is there anything you want to plug as well at the end here? I think we should.
No, we'll throw the links. I mean, the Lost Art is lostartpodcast.com. Wasted Youth. It's Wasted Youth. What is it? It's Wasted Youth on Instagram and on YouTube. We'll throw the links up, I suppose, in the text.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description.
100%. That's about it. Listen, I'm doing the same as loads of other people. It's just I found myself with a year off. Nothing to do. I like watching telly and I like watching movies and I like playing video games, but I can't do it all day, man, you know. So doing something like this at least feels like I'm getting something done, doing like Lost Art or Wasted Youth or whatever, you know. Or I wrote a bleeding album last year and put it out. You know, I recorded an album sitting in this chair on this microphone and put it out just for something to do. Like, so I might, it looks like I'm going to be out of work till like at least June or July. So, I mean, if I get super bored, I just bang out another fucking album. Like, I'm just trying to keep myself, keep the brain occupied, because there's only, the dogs only want to get walked so much, do you know what I mean? Before they start crying, and I start fucking crying. So,
when the dog cries, you cry, exactly.
Exactly
what you mean,
Exactly. So, just trying to fill my evenings where it's not just sitting on the couch, you know, eating bleeding M&Ms or something. Like, so, people are interested in music, Lost Art is the one for you. If you like action figures, especially like old action figures, because I haven't really, anything I buy now is kind of old, you know. I buy the reproductions and I buy the classics, like shelves full of old WWF Hasbro figures and G.I. Joes and Jesus, I'm looking at them there, Masters of the Universe, what else is there? You name it is in this room. I don't know how the room is still standing. But if you're into that kind of malarkey, the Wasted Youth is probably the one for you. I put a new video out there the other night, looking at some old early 80s Masters of the Universe stuff. One before that was all bits and pieces, just literally random junk that I have, like thumb wrestlers. You know,
remember them very well.
Like that, and it's not all wrestling. I tried to divvy up the wrestling stuff because I could do a year's worth of content on wrestling.
Same with me. I think I must have about, Jesus, I'd say it's close to 500 at this point. Well, maybe not 500, but it wouldn't be a million miles off with what I have in the attic and
tubs of them.
The sheds. Yeah, exactly.
Tubs of them, and then it's just junk. It's all junk to me that I should have not bought. Realistically, the adult part of my head is going, "You fucking idiot," but like the 80s head in me is like, look at that, bury me with that. Like, that's amazing. Keep that, you know.
Well, that's a great segue, because just like I think, and you should think, by the way, at home, I'm going to be an influencer right now. Turn your adult brain off, bring your childhood back. It makes you a better human being, in my opinion. And you know what? You can be like us too. And you can also buy wrestling figures, and you should buy all of your childhood figures. You should buy, if you're a girl and you like your Barbie dolls, buy every fucking single one of them. That's the way.
Your She-Raz.
Your She-Raz, exactly. I think I fully condone it. I think it's good for the soul. I think it's good for the mind. I think you know, there's an art to collecting. You know, and sometimes the chase is better than the catch, but that is part of being a human being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you have it in your hand, you're going, oh shit, now I have it. What's next? You know what I mean? It is an addiction, but it's a good addiction. And you know what?
Yep.
You've got a lot of pricey stuff behind you there that you get to leave to the possible future kids or to the possible future house that you eventually will buy. So
I tell you what, if you want to take a break for 2 minutes, I'll pull a load of it out and we can show it off. What about that?
Why don't we do that? Why don't we actually do that before we end the show? Yeah, absolutely. Because I can
we'll run through a few bits and bobs. I'll pull some stuff off and we'll show it off to the people.
Yeah, we'll do it for 10 minutes. Why not? Yeah. Why not? So we'll take a little break, and when we come back, we're going to go through some of Garrett's collection here and see, because I can see one in particular behind, and I believe it might be a Ray stance, but it's the cartoon Ghostbusters. So I'm interested in seeing that. The ginger version. We'll be back right after this. And we are back just when you thought we were finished. Garrett changed the questions. Just like any good Roddy Piper fan out there, he's decided to bring in some of his collection here and give us a little bit of a sample of what people can expect on.
Right, so what I have lined up here, it's all wrestling.
Yeah.
Because I know you're a wrestling fan. I know you're a wrestling fan, so I pulled out a lot of not weird, maybe old and maybe a little bit different stuff people don't see that often. Straight in.
Want to give me the value test? Maybe do the value test. Okay, straight away, right. So
straight in.
We're going to do the value test straight away. I would reckon, should I say, not recommend.
Yeah.
I recommend someone offer a man money here. And I would say if someone was trying to offer for this Chris Candido, I would say you're easily looking at about 300 to 400 quid.
I don't know.
Easily.
Not going to lie to you. I've no idea. I know loose, they're not that much. Loose figures aren't worth that shit.
But those mint on card, I would say.
Yeah.
Someone might correct me, but I would say anywhere from 200 quid upwards, definitely.
You got a little bit of dog ear and a bit of yellow one on him. We'll throw him aside. What else we got? This will be half the battle now. Is making sure we don't have a landslide. Next up, less yellow one.
Oh Jesus, Tommy Dreamer, you're going up in value there now, and that looks actually in a little bit better condition.
It's better, yeah. It's better.
Definitely, I'd say anywhere upwards.
He's all
plus. Yeah.
Add for the ring on the back of it. We're going to move.
These are kayfabe prices, by the way, as well. So
exactly.
Offering. We're having a bit of fun here, like so. Nobody in the comments go, "Oh, those two lads are full of shy."
Full of shy. Actually, believe it or not, most of these wrestling figures I probably would sell because I don't even watch wrestling anymore. It's not that I don't like it. It's just I'm so into wrestling for so long that I don't think I got fucking stomach being into wrestling again.
It can drain you, man. It drains you.
It was painful. It was painful. It was great fun, but it was painful. And it's too all encompassing. We're moving a little bit newer, but still kind of cool. Is some of my favorite range is the WCW range of action figures by far.
I had a couple of them loose. So I like the Buff Bagwell one. I know they've done a Bret Hart one as well.
Yeah,
and they've done a Goldberg and a Sid. That's
exactly
really nice. That's a nice figure. And you know what? It's really nice to see to see it on card because when I had them, I mean, you know yourself, you just literally fuck the packaging.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's what I done. I have tubs of loose ones. I'm going to show you a couple of cool loose ones in a few minutes, but we'll blame through a load of them. The reason these were cool for me is that these were made by it was a Toy Biz. Yeah,
was it Marvel?
Yeah, it was Marvel. Yeah,
Marvel. Yeah.
So I'll show you a reason why they were cool in a few minutes, why they were Marvel were making them, but the fact that they came with cool accessories, like what's he got there? He's got a weight bench, and I bet you press a button on it and it all explodes. They're like little action sets they came with. Not all of them, but
he's buff, he's the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough.
Exactly. Here's a weird one. Here's a Killer Kowalski, Legends of Professional Wrestling.
That is fucking nice, man.
Yeah.
That is nice. You know what? Keep that one aside. I'd be interested in having a bit of a negotiation with you on this now.
Yeah, I really want the Abdullah one. I want the Abdullah where is he? I want the Abdullah the Butcher.
I see it there, yeah. And then King Kong
can't get these anymore.
Is it?
Yeah, so you've got King Kong Bundy and Abdullah the Butcher were in that season. That was series 3, I think. It was Killer Kowalski was season 3. Series 3.
You might make a few quid in a few weeks off that one,
yeah. Another WCW. This is another one of the Nitro ones when they start getting bigger and bigger.
Yes, the Kevin Nash one. Yeah. And they didn't come with the belts, which was the only disappointing thing, wasn't it?
No, they had to buy them separately. They came in like little packs.
Yeah.
They were the Toy Biz company were mad for these like little rockets. So these are like little they're like springs, paper springs, yeah. And they pop into there's like an engine block or something here, a backpack, and you press a button and they explode. So there was loads of those. They were mad for doing that.
It was one of the better Nash figures as well because they got the flow of his hair, they got big sexy down, and it was actually cool.
Well, where is he? I'll show you. Nice. I have one loose here. They're leaving there. Yeah. So
there you go.
So that big, right? Now, what they've done as well, what's cool about WCW that they didn't really do in WWF or E back in the day, was they done them to scale. So there's a Raven.
Yes. And they're only, that's actually really cool that you mentioned that there because even with the Jacks figures, which I know a lot of people love them, Jay Kennedy loves the Jacks figures. I'm not a big fan. I like them in the box. I got it's funny enough, I actually, from Niall Hogan, obviously shout out to my business partner here on the Dynamo Podcast Network, the owner of Wrestling Mania.
That's right.
He got me a Zeus figure.
Deadly.
and still up there. It's in the Jack specific box. It's still pretty much mint. And that was literally the week of his death. There was like someone's fucking speaking to me here. That's so strange. But
you know,
you're actually right there when you're talking about the scale. It's
yeah,
only
they scaled
Mattel that came in and start doing it to scale. Everyone else had them all like. I mean, me
and pretty much the same.
Okerlund had bigger biceps than Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, like I've one of the original Vince McMahon figures there. Like he's bigger than like The Rock or Stone Cold or anything like that. You know,
Jacked,
next one of the cool ones that I've been. This is a series that I've been grabbing recently, and it's Masters of the WWE Universe.
I've seen them. Yeah, they're kind of they made them in like old school He-Man style, right?
Yeah, so they're doing a lot of the WWE guys in He-Man style. So that's Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins. Who's making these? I don't even know. It is Mattel, yeah. Who else? You got The Fiend is back here. The Bray Wyatt is back here. There's another couple of them hanging on the wall. I'm not gonna the whole pile will come down if I get them. But these are really cool. This kind of bridges my fandom between a bit of wrestling and the kind of He-Man stuff. What else have we got here? We got a couple more kind of on the card. Here's one of your Bash at the Beach Goldbergs.
That was a great series. Yeah.
So these are cool. A lot of these were water based, where you had you filled them up with water, and they had kind of squirters and stuff like that.
They had like a big ship kind of thing, or a wrestling ring that floated, wasn't it? An inflatable wrestling ring that you could put in the pool. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's right. There's a bunch of that. I'll show you a cool WCW thing now in a minute. Hang on. Not right now, but these are the basic WCWs that they done. This is Mike Awesome.
That's a great.
So these were the Unleashed. No accessories, no nothing, just a bog standard action figure, blister packed with whatever kind of little cut out card on the back.
That's a great figure. That is.
I've
never seen that one actually. That's a really.
That's not. You won't see that often, to be honest with you.
Who made them?
These were Toy Biz as well. It's Marvel
as well.
Yeah, it's that's how Marvel basically got through the 2000s, the early 2000s.
They latched
Marvel wasn't doing any money.
They probably made more money than WCW did.
Oh yeah, absolutely, more than likely. Two now they do side by side, and these two RVD figures. So I'm gonna do these side by side. This is the changeover between WWF and WWE.
Oh, nice, man. Yeah.
So these are the Fury well, Unchained or something. That all happened within like a month. So it's Unchained Fury, and they changed the scans on them. So you've got your WWF version, which is your kind of bog standard, kind of big fat neck WWF figures that were doing the rounds, where they weren't far off being the same bodies. They just kind of done that 3D scanning on the head, and then when they moved into these, they rescanned everybody's bodies and they looked a little bit more realistic. You know, nice. The molds they're not the same at all, but they changed over like really, really quickly. You can even see like the cover design on them is almost identical. Yeah. You know, it's just their blister is inverted on each one, but these two would have been in the shops at the exact same time. You know, so you had to decide whether you wanted kind of yellow RVD or green and black RVD.
So Garrett decided, I'll take both, please.
I'll have both of them, yeah. And then this is an old one as well. It's a WWF Heat Hardy Boys.
Yeah, do you remember that? And they're the ones where the hair was kind of flowing up, so it was actually mid-move. Yeah. Yeah,
this when they start. I think these are the first ones. One of the first season or series of figures that they start making it where you can move their kind of abdomen.
Yeah,
as well, so you could kind of hunch them over at the chest as well. And they start coming out with these kind of cool seeing packs.
They had more articulation in them,
yeah, big time. And everybody got one of these, kind of got a blast of these kind of new scans where the faces look better, the bodies look better, all that type of shit. You drop down there. What have I got here? I've got this is one again, same season, same series. Yeah. Kurt Angle with hair, but you can move them at the kind of ribs, which is a big deal. Who else?
Take the clothes off and everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's your bag. You got your WWF Raven next to your WCW Raven. Both of them wearing Marvel affiliated T-shirts, I might add as well.
Which is pretty cool.
Daredevil. Yeah, have your Punisher. They would have had the license for it. They definitely didn't. So I'd say there was murder over that. It was like when Vampiro was doing stuff with the Misfits as well, and he was selling T-shirts with Misfits logos on it. I have the action figure. I have two of the action figures, two of the Vampiro action figures that have Misfits logos on them here as well.
He's I'm in a bit of I'm not his biggest fan at the moment because he just before Christmas he agreed to come on the podcast, and now he's been fucking ignoring me. So
one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, I have to say, Vampiro, but it's a troubled individual right there.
Yeah, and I give him a break on that. In fairness, it will eventually happen, but
it will happen. Like he wants to do loads. He's like twitching out him playing Call of Duty and Doom, and then he's doing that walking around at 4 o'clock in the morning, battering people. What's that called? The bleeding angels. Not Hell's Angels. What are they called?
Fucking. I know exactly.
They wear the hats, the little bleeding beret hats. And like I said, two thumb wrestlers. They're original from when I was a kid. I remember
Roddy
getting
Piper
them.
and Junkyard, is it?
Junkyard Dog, yeah, the two boys. Who else? Got 2 Hasbros. I have a bunch of Hasbros. There's your honky tonk with the guitar, which is a big deal.
In all of his glory, that's a beautiful figure.
Then one of the rarest that doing the rounds is Purple Pants Warrior.
Yeah.
Purple Pants Warrior, hard to find. I have 2 of them. Don't know how I have 2 of them, but I have 2. The normal, I think white or yellow, you'll see, but purple is a bit harder to find.
And it's funny because even though the white one was a better looking figure, for some reason that is because it was everywhere. In terms of the articulation.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was aesthetically better looking, but that's a great.
Exactly done the slam. I have Bo Hogan's. I have a wall full of them over there. I can't find them right now, but I definitely 100% have the big 12-inch LJN Macho Man that's worth about 10 grand. I have that somewhere. That's somewhere in either my grandmother's house or my mother's house in a box somewhere. I have it. I just haven't had the time to go.
Don't tell your missus because that's literally your deposit for the house.
That's what. And then last, you were interested in the Ghostbusters actually before we go.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's Ray. These are the reproductions. These are the new ones. I've been picking these up. The only one I don't have is Egon. I don't have Egon. Ray is there. Winston is there. Peter is there. They're all up there. Egon's just out of stock at the moment. I should have him in a couple of weeks. But these are, I was mad for these when I was a kid, and these new kind of reproductions are exactly the same, like 100%.
Have you seen the new? Have you seen the new Hasbro ones based on the movie?
Yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing.
Hang on, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
We're live, pal.
There's an alien queen for you. An old Kenner alien queen. While he's digging that out.
We have
there's I think that came with Kevin Nash, and keeping your watchers entertained while you were digging stuff out.
I like that.
This came with Kevin.
Me a fee soon.
Yeah, this came with Nash, and if you used to put a rocket in the wolf's mouth, right? And you used to hit it, and this would shoot up, and a rocket would shoot out of wolf's mouth. This is why the WCW figures were the best, because they had so much garbage that came with them, like.
And it literally was garbage, but in a good way.
Oh, dirt, like. Dirt. There was all these weird like fake walls that had like Sting's face painted on them, and like you'd shoot a rocket and it explode. You know, that type of. That's where they had little accessories with them, like this. I got rid of him, didn't I? I had the Sandman, the Sandman that WCW put out when he was called Hack. That came with like the Singapore cane and stuff like that as well. You know, it came with, it was like a hot dog stand, and if you hit it right, the wheels flew off it and cans flew out of it and all this type of like big accessory packs that came with the WCW stuff. And I've tons of those. Like I'm only at the showing you a tiny percentage of what I have. There's tubs upon tubs upon tubs of stuff. Shows your Ghostbuster before I show you my last big yoke.
So we have
Deadly.
So we've got Egon or Spengler, should I say? Yeah, Egon. You can see the box is really fucking cool. It's all based off the first movie. So we've got Egon there. What happened was I was really smart about this, and if my missus hears about this, she's gonna laugh. She told me one night when she had a few drinks on her, and she doesn't drink often, that basically I had a Peter Venkman on this series on the way, and I had basically bought Ray Stantz in just before Christmas for myself. I got it in GameStop, and she had told me that she got me Peter, and I was like, well, what about the other two boys? What about what about Zedmore and Egon? Like, I need them too. So I kind of went on Amazon there on Black Friday and just went, right, fucking get them too. I know the other one's on the way. So as you can see, we have Zedmore
Savage.
There. You can see, like, look how I noticed.
They're amazing. I've seen them in the raw. They're unreal.
Yeah, so they're like the little accessories, like they give you the whole proton pack and all. And it's cool. There we are. We have the first one there. Ray Stantz is in there, and then of course I couldn't have even planned this better. The man himself, the funniest man to ever exist outside of Billy Connolly. Bill Murray.
Another Bill, yeah. Savage.
So it's some great figures coming out, and it's great to see Hasbro make a play again, you know, in that field, because I know there was another series of them as well, wasn't there?
There was. There's been a couple of them. Those ones that you have, they're the most movie accurate ones that I've seen, 100%.
Definitely in terms of the 6-inch figure, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
I know the Hot Toys did the big...
yeah, that's too much money for what they are, to be honest with you. Like, it'd have to be...
isn't it?
It's insane. Like, Hasbro are doing all these reissues now, like this Storm Shadow.
Give us a look at that. I was a G.I. Joe man too. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So they're doing all the small ones now as well.
Why don't you tell all the cool kids, the cool kids now that collect G.I. Joe, what we used to get back in the 90s? Do you remember there was a certain liquid that you got in the figure?
Yeah.
Explain that one. Brilliant.
You're better off explaining that to me, because my memories of G.I. Joe, to be honest with you, is trading with one lad in Cabra about 30 figures to get a Snake Eyes that had no thumbs. Like, that's my overwhelming memory of G.I. Joe, was being built up to this point of like, I need a Snake Eyes because it's real hard to get, and this fella had a battered Snake Eyes, no thumbs on him, the whole shebang, and I must have gave him 30, like lifeline. All the boys got handed over for this gammy Snake Eyes, and from that point on I was like, I can't go near fucking G.I. Joe anymore.
You're in the same bracket as me. We obviously made better decisions when we were older in terms, and that's probably why, because I gave away my Ninja Turtles, not the Hero Turtles, Ninja Turtles from the third film when they were in Japan. I gave them away for a fucking ham sandwich and a packet of crisps.
Oh yeah.
So what does that tell you? And I wasn't starving. I had a home, like.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I've done that. Like I've ordered the you were talking about them earlier as well. The reproductions of the original kind of late 90s figures, or sorry, early 90s figures as well. They're coming out next month alongside a big giant Castle Grayskull that's coming out as well. I have that ordered. But again, I can't go mad, because realistically I'm buying these things to show them off on a YouTube channel that like 100 people are looking at, because I'm doing it for me. And the whole idea of the YouTube channel is supposed to be like junk that I've accumulated over the years. Like old Star Wars figures, tons of them. I'm not really meant to be buying new stuff, but it's going to relit a little fire inside me now, like, there's cool stuff coming out again, like there's cool stuff, gonna have to buy it. Which leads on to the last thing I want to show you, which is let me see if I can figure this out. I'm gonna lift this swine up without knocking everything over. I'll see if I can show it off. And it's the boxed Monday Night Nitro arena,
full arena. So they actually gave you the strobe lights and
everything's in there, and it's
ring lights. Yeah,
it's battery powered. And if you bang off, it's like, if you throw a wrestler on there, it has a little sensor. This is kind of fabric in the middle of a plastic ring, and it makes noises like, and it's got lights. All these lights shine. The cameras have lights and the whole shebang. But I have must have about 20 different rings of some description or another. You can see the old SmackDown Titantron above me. Actually, there's an old Titantron up here. Edge and Christian. They're on. Let's see if I can take this down. This is cool. This is the 5-second podium that they made.
Deadly.
So, and you can take the batteries, you put batteries in it, and the lights shine as well, and they move around. So you got a little wheel that moves them. The light here shines. There's a camera that came with. I have that as well. And most of that stuff that came with all of it. And the Titantron is the one that plays the music as well, has the little sensors, because most of the old, you can see them there, most of the old WWF figures had these little metal pins in them that had like little RFID chips in them. So when you walked them past the Titantron, they would play their entrance music or sound samples from the figures as well.
They put so much effort into it, didn't they? Back in the day, like it was absolutely crazy.
That's why I had to stop, because they just came out with so much gear, and it was going to be like a warehouse full of clobber that you'd end up buying, you know.
Who's those two mean-looking bastards behind you there? I can see a wolf-looking creature beside Ray.
Oh, up here?
Yeah.
That's Bigfoot. That's a Bigfoot model from the 60s, and he's just knocked down on a Atari 2600. Hang on.
I do apologize. So that's my fault.
You're all right. That's great. So that's a glow-in-the-dark Bigfoot model. It's a reproduction from a 1960s one. So the bone glows in the dark, which the bone and the pool are meant to be blood, and the skull, they all glow in the dark as well.
That is lethal, man.
There's an Atari there behind him that still works. I'm trying to get him back up now without knocking everything down. Get up there. I was collecting like music action figures for a while there as well. You got the like Public Enemy Action figures.
Yeah, I got the. I found a deal on it, which was a score. I don't think your man even knew exactly what he had. I got all 4 of the Kiss figures from the McFarlane series.
Oh yeah, in the McFarlane range. Yeah.
Got it for 80 quid.
Yeah, there's a ton of them. There's the Torment. I won the season 4 Spawn figures. I've not 100, maybe 50 or 60 of the OG Spawn or at least McFarlane figures. Over here, then you barely see him. There's like an Ash versus Evil Ash up there. There's a Dark Man.
See it there now, yeah.
There's a Dark Man up there. Dark Man's worth a couple of £100. He's up there. Who else is up there? Jesus. The Toxic Avenger, Toxie, he's up there. He's worth a few bob as well.
Toxie there, is he?
Yeah, and it's an OG movie Maniacs Toxie up there as well.
That's awesome. That was a great series. I used to have the cartoon version.
Cartoon. I've been trying to buy them on eBay and they're mad money. The Toxic Crusaders.
I had some of
them. Toxic Crusaders action figures.
I traded a Macho Man Randy Savage, a Hulk Hogan, and an Ultimate Warrior, the white version, not the one with the purple. I traded 3 of them
for a Toxie.
The one Toxie.
They were one of the best action figures. Yeah, one of the best action figures of the late 90s or at least mid 90s.
Because I bought the 3 that I traded the next week in the shop.
If you can pick them up again, you pick them up. Yeah. I've been trying to buy those Toxic Crusaders action figures on eBay for ages and they're insane money. You'll find like a Scaldy Toxie that doesn't have a mop or the shield or anything. You find him for like 30 quid, but with the gear, like 100, 200 quid loose. And that's not my bag, man.
And it's gonna be more expensive now that they're doing a remake of.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like
exactly,
that's gonna get real. Do
you
remember the Street Sharks?
I have one of the. I should have brought that up as well.
Remember the original figures, and they were made of rubber. They were so.
Yeah, I have one downstairs. They were the giant ones, so like this size. I have one of the. It wasn't a Street Shark. It was when they done the dinosaur versions, whatever they were called, the Blade Dino Sharks, whatever they were called, Street Dinos or whatever. That offshoot, I have one of the big giant T-Rexes, and you turn his tail and his mouth closes.
Oh, they were brilliant, man.
I'm 40, by the way. Let's just get this out of the way. Like I'm 40 years old.
And I'm 36, so we're not. You were looking at 2 grown ass men here who've done a lot of shit, but also.
There's another one worth a fortune. That Hellboy.
Oh, nice.
He's worth a bomb. That's the Mezco Hellboy, and the reason he's worth a few bob is because that's the closed mouth variant. The normal one has an open mouth; you can see his teeth.
Yeah.
And but the one with the closed mouth is worth. I didn't know it was worth a fortune until recently.
Beautiful figure though.
It's unreal. It's properly looks like my whole left leg is covered in Mike Mignola art and Hellboy comic strips. I am, and so I'm a big Hellboy fan. I have all the library edition comic books, the ones that are like this size, that are kind of leather bound and all. I have. I've
been an absolute bollocks for buying trade paperbacks before Christmas. I think I bought. So I got some. Actually, I have them in there. People are probably sick of hearing them. I got The Name Is Doom. So I got that original series, the throwback, with Kirby and Lee. I got them.
Savage.
I got the war with what was it? Jesus, I can't remember the other one. I got the original Deadpool, which because I gifted Bob all my original Deadpool stuff because I got love of comics for all. I gifted them on his birthday, which I should.
Oh yeah, Lee Field stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't mind. I was happy to do it for him. But what else did I get? Oh, I bought Preacher. I bought the first 2 books of Preacher because I've never read them before. I'm actually proper engrossed in that.
Yeah, just don't watch the TV show. Scudder.
I heard that. I got what did I get? I got I ordered the first volume 1 of the Punisher Max.
The Gar Dennis one's fantastic.
I heard they're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So, he fights the IRA and all, because it's written by an Irishman. It's great.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Because that's I mean, like the TV shows. That was the thing. I was like, I didn't realize how big a Punisher fan I was until I watched Daredevil first.
Yeah.
And then I went and watched The Punisher, which was stupid because I wasn't really told what way you're meant to watch them. And now I'm on season 2 of Daredevil, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. You can watch them anyway, any which way you want. But
exactly,
because Jessica Jones, I got bored with after about episode.
It's not
4.
great. Yeah,
it's not great. And I don't like your man, I don't like your man. What's his name? The black guy in it.
Power Man.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the character. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of the character.
The music in it—that's the best music out of all of them. But the show is just, he's not a great actor, and the background to it is not great. When they finally done Defenders, when they glued them all together, it's a bit better because you get a little bit of everybody in it, you know. But
in
still
terms
not
of
super.
The Punisher, that is the
Punisher's great. But yeah, that's the Garth Ennis Punisher. That's the Punisher Max you're going to read. That's where that comes from. That and Welcome Home Frank, which was the Marvel Knights version of Punisher, which wouldn't have been quite as adult, but still would have been a bit grim. Which would have been drawn by Steve Dillon, who was the greatest comic book artist of all time.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. I would 100%. I'm big into art myself. Like I done a bit of drawing back in the day, and I would wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, Dillon, top 3 of all time. Like fantastic.
Easily. Like the actor that plays Frank Castle's what's his name again? I was only talking about him earlier. Fuck's sake. He guess
you got me 5 cans in now, man. I'm fucking loose. I can't remember it.
Guess who his uncle-in-law is?
His uncle-in-law. I know that he went to Russia to become an actor, but I don't know who his uncle-in-law is.
Carl Urban, his name is.
Really?
Yeah. Oh no, that's Carl Urban from fucking.
Carl Urban is.
Carl Urban's from The Boys.
Yeah.
Which is another great show, by the way.
Super, yeah, great.
John Bernthal. Sorry, that's his
name.
John
Bernthal. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
So. This is gonna blow your mind here. I've been tripping people with this, like, and they're like, what? So this is Wikipedia, right? Bernthal married trauma nurse Erin Angle on the 25th. So his uncle-in-law is Kurt Angle. There's actually pictures of the two of them on Instagram having beers at Christmas parties now.
That's mental.
There's a duo that you just.
There's your boy.
And
I don't have any Punisher figures right here. I do have. There we go. We got Raven wearing the Punisher top. There you go.
That's all right.
There we go. That's as good. Wearing the face out of each other. That's what you do. Yeah, exactly.
Unreal, like. But no,
that's mad.
He is. John Bernthal is absolutely. And
fantastic.
By the way, we mentioned Carl Urban and The Boys. Yeah. Here's one for you. And I've been pitching this to people. Not that I'm some sort of movie fucking producer, but at the end of the day, hopefully someone is listening. When you watch him in The Boys with the beard and all that, and the scars over the face and the full head of hair, dude, he is perfect for Wolverine.
Yeah.
Perfect for Wolverine.
He looks the part. Yeah, he looks great in The Boys. To be fair, he looks great in The Boys.
Fucking cunt.
Yeah, they make him like double hench with all the gear and all on them, and the beard. But yeah, he's super.
Fantastic. That's a great series, by the way.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's a great show. The comic is great as well. Written by the same bloke who wrote the Punisher that you're reading as well. So,
it's just
from Belfast. Yeah, from Belfast.
Full circle. Yeah, those boys know about a thing or two up in Belfast. We know that.
100%. Yeah, that's why every single comic that bloke ever wrote, Garth Ennis' name is, pretty much ends up in the north, running away from the IRA or fighting the IRA. He just has this thing, but that always meet the IRA somewhere in the Garth Ennis comic book. He's
currently the head of the IRA as well.
Exactly. Well, he lives in New York. He's a weird fella because I was involved in a comic convention for a while as well. We were always trying to get a hold of him. I was trying to get a hold of him and Mike McNowell, who does Hellboy, and both of them are just mad loose and just weren't really into doing conventions. But Garth in particular said, because he moved to New York in like the early 90s, like, don't really want to go back to Ireland. So he's making his money over there. Fair play to him.
He's right. If I could do that tomorrow, I would be the exact same. So, well, look, that's about all she wrote for this week. It's been a pleasure, and I know for sure that we're going to bring you back on and talk more collectibles and stuff, and we'll talk about the progression of all of your podcasts, and hopefully we'll be able to do one. Maybe me and Jay will try and do one from the Thomas House eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
When things open, no problem. Up, you know what I mean?
Once things are back open and rocking away, then 100%. Yeah, sit down and do something.
But until next week, for Gar Cummins and for Ian the Dynamo Kelly, that is all she wrote. And Dynamo is over and out.